There's a reason why. In 5 years of powering every car in the Indianapolis 500 race, not a single Honda engine has failed. It's not the parts we make them from. It's the part we put in to every Honda.
Danica and I are thrilled to announce the new GoDaddy.co girl.
Is it hot in here? Or is it just me?
It's Joan Rivers!
Hey, visit GoDaddy and get your .co now to start building your business, blog, or brand name online.
There she is, your new GoDaddy.co girl.
So, who wants to see more of these guys?
See more online at GoDaddy.co.
Story about a man with a car and a job, a wife and a kid, and his name is Bob. Just a regular guy with a regular car, but it's what he rolls on that makes him a star. That's Bob's story. He ain't no liar, because everybody knows the legends ride fire.
Legendary drivers need legendary tires. Get a $50 Firestone MasterCard prepaid card by mail when you buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires.
Sure, frames have their place, but this isn't one of them. Introducing the new Samsung Smart TV with a revolutionary virtually edgeless design. No matter what you watch, it feels bigger. Designed with less edge for more to see. That's the wonder of Samsung.
When you're bigger than the biggest person on The Biggest Loser, it's horrible.
ABC Tomorrow. One man.
My name's Chris Powell. I specialize in incredible transformation.
Will help these super obese take back their lives.
You have been dead for 26 years. It's time to wake up.
Each episode, you'll follow one person for an entire year, and in 1 hour, experience a transformation that will leave you saying,
oh my gosh.
Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition. Series premiere tomorrow, 10/9 Central, following The Bachelorette on ABC.
We welcome you back to the 2011 Indianapolis 500, a centennial celebration presented by Honda. The Color Guard, under the direction of the Indiana National Guard, but representing all branches of the armed forces, presenting the colors. Now to introduce the singing of the national anthem, let's go back to the PA announcer, Dave Calabro.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as Grammy Award-winning artist David Foster, Seal, and Kelly Clarkson perform our national anthem.
awesome when you see some of our troops from Iraq. This is a very special place. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very special race.
The Indianapolis 500, the most iconic race in the history of sports. And today marks the centennial, 100 years of heroes, tradition, and glory. Make no mistake, there is nothing ordinary about this race. This is the gold standard, a symbol for greatness that plays out on a stage like no other. Now this track, yeah, she's seen it all, triumph and tragedy.
Here's the checkered flag. He's won the Indianapolis 500.
But for every legend who solved this riddle, the stories of those who came up empty are legion. That's the harsh reality of this sport. But without the bitter, sweet wouldn't be as sweet. In 1985, Danny Sullivan opens up a candy store out of turn 2 and leaves Mario with the bill. One of the sweetest moves ever. A spin and win. Just goes to show in racing, you never know. Just ask Sam Hornish Jr. how close 600ths of a second. Well, this is what they race for. With victory comes the honor of having your face sculpted into one of the greatest trophies in sports. Legends like Rutherford, John Cox, Fittipaldi, to name a few. But only A.J. Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears claimed the Borg Warner 4 times. Extraordinary. Today, Elio looks to join that fraternity, but he'll be pushed to the brink by those looking to make their own history. Here's the thing, at Indy, you're either first or forgotten. Cruel? Maybe, but such is life. An opportunity missed, a door unopened, a path not chosen. But every year on Memorial Day weekend comes the chance to cross these bricks and live forever. No votes, no politics, no thanks to the Academy. Nothing. Just driver, machine, pursuit, and immortality.
Great Hoosier State. Thank you, Lord.
Welcome to the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Well, on this eve of Memorial Day, we tip our hats to the military presence at the Speedway today and give a heartfelt thanks to the Snowball Express, an organization dedicated to making Christmas special for the children of fallen warriors. Their stories are heart-wrenching.
My dad, Lieutenant Lewis Allen. He was deployed to Iraq. He died about 6 years ago when I was 5 years old. He was brave and funny and used to push me on the swing. I used to enjoy learning to ride my bike with him and my mom. I miss getting to do that. If I could get the chance to talk to him, I'd tell him I'm proud of him and miss him very much. I want people to know that he was patriotic, kind, and caring. Me and my brothers miss him a lot, but knowing that Memorial Day is coming and people will remember my dad and all the moms and dads that died for our country makes me happy. I will always remember him.
execution at this race. Here to perform back home again in Indiana, ladies and gentlemen, our good friend, Mr. Jim Neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Neighbors. Welcome back. And now, to say the most famous words in motorsports, ladies and gentlemen, the chairperson of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mary Hallman George.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The quest is about to begin. Alex Tagliani will lead him from the pole position. The first Canadian ever on the pole. Next to him, the bookmaker's choice from New Zealand, Scott Dixon. And let's go upstairs to the fellows who will start it all for you. Marty Reed with Eddie Cheever and Scott Goodyear. Take it away, Marty.
All right, Brett, thank you very much. Hello again, everybody. And I don't care how many times you come to the Speedway, when you hear those 33 engines come to life, the hair on the end of your arms stands on end. And for over 100 years, the fans have been coming here for the speed and, yes, for the risk and reward. Now it's time to go racing. And Eddie has taken us through the emotions that these drivers are feeling as we get ready to go on the pace laps and through the green flag.
Every driver in the field right now is seeing the world through his visor. They've shut out everything around them. They're in contact with their pits, and they're cleaning up their office. They're getting ready for 500 miles. And they know that when they get to that first corner, they're going to have to be on automatic. It's impossible to program the first few corners because there's so much chaos. But inevitably, somebody will try to win on the first race, and I have yet to see something on the first corner, and I have yet to see anybody do it correctly.
Well, there is one big change this year as the cars roll out, Scott Goodyear. Let's talk about the double foul restarts.
Well, Marty, this will be the first time in Indianapolis 500 history that we'll attempt these restarts double file. We've been doing this single file. We're programmed that like drivers. We want to go down there and get the job done, pass the car in front of us. Well, we have to now share that road with our neighbors beside us, and drivers are not very polite. I think they'll get used to it in the first couple of restarts, but as the race goes on, they'll get very difficult, and the final one, I will tell you, will be every man and woman for himself.
All right, well, the reason of here, of course, is to celebrate the 100th anniversary. Take you back to 1911 when Ray Haroon, it was his final drive. Boy, he went out in style, didn't he? Winning the first ever Indianapolis 500. And there is the Marmon Wasp, and it's driven by 1963 winner Parnelli Jones. And look at that car go. It averaged just under 75 miles an hour 100 years ago, and it's still flying around the track. And how about A.J. Foyt? He won the Golden Anniversary event. He won 4 times here. His first was in 1961, then in 64, 67, and 1977. And there he is out on the pace lap. He is leading the field as he is getting ready to bring the cars to the green flag. Also out in the field is the IZOD IndyCar two-seater. And Mario Andretti is at the wheel. There it is. Go to shophonda.com. Enter to win a ride in the IZOD IndyCar two-seater driven by Mario himself. On board right there is U.S. Army retired Sergeant Roxine Benson. Hello, Sergeant. Enjoy the ride. There's a great view of AJ with Mary Holman George. She's going for the ride of her life alongside the four-time Indy 500 champion. Across the top of the screen, we'll have our GoDaddy.com starting grid, and you already heard about the first two on that front row. Take a look at number 3. Don't count out Oriole Servia. It's the best starting position for Newman Haas Racing since 1993. That team has never won this race in 19 tries. Could today be their day? Let's get our final updates from pit road. First up, Rick DeBrule.
Well, Marty, if there's one thing that makes a difference at this track, it is experience. And that's our GoDaddy What to Watch for today. We have 5 former champions in this race. Between them, they have won 8 of the last 10 races. One of those, Buddy Rice, won in 2004. He's the last driver, not in the big 3. Andretti, Ganassi, or Penske to have won this race. Now, he hasn't been racing in an IndyCar since 2008. He said he didn't want to come back unless he had a car that could win. And he said that's exactly what Panther has given him today. Jamie Little?
Well, after 9 starts in the Indianapolis 500, Sarah Fisher finds herself in a new role today, expectant mom. As a team owner, she's turned her race car over to Ed Carpenter. And after qualifying 8th last weekend, this team went from a long shot to a contender. Today, Sarah Fisher hopes to make history and become the first woman to win as an owner at Indianapolis since 1929. Vince Welch?
The 2 oldest competitors in the field today are a pair of 48-year-olds, Davey Hamilton and John Andretti. Both have told me this week this could be their final run at the Indianapolis 500. Andretti's words were, "I'm an old-timer stepping up to the plate to swing the bat one more time." Older, yes, but he and Hamilton each believe today's swing of the bat could produce a home run. Jerry Punch?
This country may have no kings or queens, but it does have those who are considered racing royalty, like this man, Roger Penske, whose numbers here as a car owner, 15 wins with 10 different drivers, are more than enough to earn him the honorary title, Lord of the Brickyard. Today, Lord Penske has told me he will pull out all the stops and gamble on fuel, pit, and race strategy in an attempt to win the most prestigious race in Indy history. Marty?
All right, thanks, Doc, very much. As we go on board with one of our 12 onboard cameras, there's Elio Castroneva starting 16th, looking for his 4th Indy 500 championship.
And here's Danica Patrick. She has the talent. She's done very well in the past, but will her car be good enough to win today?
And of course, the 83 of Charlie Kimball. You saw his story in our pre-race. He races with diabetes, and we'll be monitoring his blood sugar level along with him.
Number 9 with Scott Dixon on board. He's looking to win this race for a second time. He is the favorite in the field today, Marty.
Last year's winner and a 2-time champion here at the 500, the 10 car of Dario Franchitti. Can he become a 3-time winner today?
And the 26 of Marco Andretti, he certainly had difficulty getting into the field. Only one Andretti has won this race one time. They're trying to make it at least coming up to 2.
And let's get ready with the race with our GoDaddy rules of racing. Gus?
6 to 9 pit stops with this 500-mile race here. As much pressure on the pit crew doing the pit work as the drivers on the track. The push to pass, we'll explain that as we go. Drivers will push a button on the steering wheel to get some more horsepower to make the pass complete.
This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. Pace car with A.J. Foyt in tow comes around turn number 4. Cars are already beginning to pick up speed as they come down the front straightaway. Ladies and gentlemen, the 100th anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500 is green. Scott Dixon takes the early lead. Oriole Servia into second. Third place is Alex Tagliani.
And Marty, a little bit of missed timing by Alex Tagliani down in turn 4. He tried to accelerate a bit too soon. He knew it, got off the gas, and gave Dixon a great run to turn 1.
Dario Franchitti, you saw him side by side with Will Power. He's now in front of him. The titanium skid plates points. That's the sparking you're seeing.
But that will go away as the tire pressures get up. Right now, the tires are not quite at the temperature they need to be.
Franchitti is on the move early, looking to get around the 99 of Townsend Bell. Bell holding on for dear life there. We're on board.
But he's not giving up. He's going up now. It's very difficult to make it around 2.
Oh, so close, and that's at 215, 20 miles an hour. He'll try to get the draft. See how the dirty air from the car in front slid Franchitti up the racetrack? A little early to be trying that.
Franchitti into the 6th position right now.
A little bit close in the game to be doing that.
Things have settled down just for the moment between those two. It is Dixon, Servia, Tagliani, Dan Weldon now in 4th.
Here comes Tagliani.
Tags looking underneath of Servia. They're side by side through the corner. Still hanging on.
Boy,
look out, this is getting dicey. He makes the pass. So move your pole sitter back into the 2nd position. Servia to 3rd, and here comes Dan Weldon, the man who has finished 2nd the last 2 years here at Indy.
Now with Servia right now, looks like he might be trying to adjust his car, Eddie, because he does not have the speed of the guys that he qualified with on the front row. So as you know, there's some tools inside the cockpit the drivers can change. The roll bars front and rear, and also a weight jacker that they can change by their steering wheel to change the handling on the car. He's probably hard at work inside there right now.
They all are hard at work, but what I'm really shocked at is why this front group is letting Dixon walk away. Actually, the only 2 that seem to be at pace right now are Dixon and Tagliani.
I remember last year, Dixon's teammate, Dario Franchitti, got the lead early and then took off and went ahead and led. And right now, Dixon, who was the fastest driver on warm-up day, is leading, but Tagliani has caught him very quickly, guys.
While we're watching all this action, we should tell you Simona Di Silvestro came onto pit road, and she is now 1 lap down in 33rd position. We'll get an update as quickly as we can. There you see the front 2, Dixon, Tagliani, then Servia. Townsend Bell is now 4th, ahead of Dan Weldon, Dario Franchitti, and Will Power. That's your top 7.
And Marty, we saw Tagliani get up there very quickly right behind Dixon. Caught him fast, but was not able to run behind him. So it makes you question how his car set up. Is his car set up with a downforce level to be able to lead, or can he run in traffic?
Eddie, let's talk about the emotions now. We've survived the first couple of laps. What are these drivers feeling?
Now they know what sort of a car they have. They've only practiced in cold weather, and this is the hottest day that they've run, so they know what sort of balance they have. They've gone through all the corners, and they have a very good idea what they have to work with. What you'll see now is that all of them will start ganging up and trying to have more speed together.
Pretty much in single file at this moment. Look a little bit farther back in the field. There is Vitor Mira. Mira in the 10th spot. And there goes John Andretti. And Andretti goes around and takes the position. They're about 4 seconds behind the race lead. You heard Vince Welch say that this might be the last time at Indy for John Andretti, the 48-year-old.
He's not driving like a guy that's the last race.
There you see at the start-finish line, side-by-side action. That is the 82 of Tony Kanaan as he gets past.
And as Scott just said, all these drivers have little components inside of their car that they can change. So they're trying to find the best that they can, and they're calling back to their pits, starting to tell them what to do for the next pit stop, how much wind change they need, what sort of tire pressures they need.
Let's get an update on Simona Di Silvestro. There she is on track. What happened, Doc?
Well, you talked about her burns and how difficult it was going to be today just to hang on to the steering wheel. She had trouble early on. The car slid up and came into contact with the outside wall. She came down pit road to change 4 tires and take a look at the front suspension. The car just slipping up across the racetrack. Suspension okay. They added a little front wing back on the racetrack, but a lap down.
And as you finish up, Doc, you're seeing right now Alex Tagliani has taken the race lead, our second leader of the day. Scott Dixon led the first 7 laps. Tagliani now opening up some room.
So let's take what Tagliani's done. He had a very good qualifying in pole. I doubted the fact that his car was going to be this good on race day. He's managed to get through traffic, past Dixon, and he's pulling away. At this point, he looks like he's the favorite.
Well, and it's a long race to go. As we talk about 500 miles, those 6 to 9 pit stops that the drivers will have to take into account. A lot of pressure on the crew also, but for Dixon right now, he's sitting back there. He knows what his car is doing, maybe making some adjustments inside. It looks like he's starting to stalk Tagliani that's ahead of him. And Eddie, you know we hate running behind the car that's in front.
Let's go back and show you exactly how the lead changed hands. Coming down the front stretch.
Very clean, perfect pass. Both drivers know what they're doing. Dixon's quite happy to let him go by and probably to see how his car is running. But remember, Scott, the car that's running behind the leader always uses less fuel, so you start putting some money in the bank here.
You can see that setup was down back there in turns 3 and 4, and this speed right now is about 225 miles an hour, timed perfectly to get past Dixon, so he does not have any recourse going back into 1.
Dixon's led this race now 6 times in a career, and for Tagliani, this is his first time ever in front. Behind them is Oriol Servia, Townsend Bell, and Dan Weldon. That rounds out your top 5. And then a little bit bigger gap as we get back to Dario Franchitti, Will Power, and Ed Carpenter. And there you see the 98 of Dan Weldon as he has gotten around and moved up into the 3rd position now as he all of a sudden finds some new life.
Not only has he found some new life with this ride, he seems to have just picked up where he left off last time. He's very strong.
And Oriol Servia being passed again. So Servia gets passed by Franchitti. So Servia, who started in the 3rd position, has been bumped back to 6th. Right behind Servia is Will Power, but up front it is Alex Tagliani and Scott Dixon. They're 2 seconds ahead of Townsend Bell. Our telecast is presented by GoDaddy.com, and we're going to take you side by side.
Danica, it's time for a new GoDaddy ad, and I'm thinking bikini bull riding. Naughty nurse?
Didn't I fire you after the last ad?
A little bit, but this one's all about Instant Page.
The free web page you get with every domain registration. I like it.
And you're gonna love the outfit.
I can't believe I'm gonna do this.
I know. See what happens next at GoDaddy.com.
Oh, go.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, what do you got in this thing?
16 valve, 2.4 liter engine, 200 horsepower, air conditioning.
32 valve, 3.5 liter engine, 650 horsepower, air conditioning.
You could start an IZOD IndyCar race with Mario Andretti. Go to shophonda.com to enter and check out the all-new Civic, the official vehicle of IndyCar.
Service Central. Service you'll only find at Tire Kingdom, NTB, Merchants Tire, and Big O Tire Stores. Service backed and guaranteed at more than 1,300 locations nationwide. Service Central's ASC certified technicians do the job right the first time. Guaranteed service, guaranteed lowest prices. Service Central, only at Tire Kingdom, NTB, Merchants Tire, and Big O Tire Stores. Service Central, the best of the best.
My client Gloria has a lot going on in her life. Wife, mother, marathoner. But one day, it's just going to be James and her. So as their financial advisor, I'm helping them look at their complete financial picture, even the money they've invested elsewhere, to create a plan that can help weather all kinds of markets. Because that's how they're getting ready for all the things they want to do.
With you when you need a financial advisor fully invested in you. Wells Fargo Advisors. Together we'll go far.
They've come from all over.
We're football players.
Moms.
Cops from Massachusetts.
NYC.
Kansas.
To the edge of the earth.
We're in the Sahara, yo.
Starting Thursday, June 23rd, 13 teams will attempt the impossible.
Guys, I'm not looking down.
From Mark Burnett, executive producer of Survivor.
It'd be humiliating to lose to a blind guy.
Comes the most epic competition ever.
This is crazy.
ABC's Expedition Impossible premieres Thursday, June 23rd on ABC.
Back here at the 100th anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500, Alex Tagliani has now led 7 laps as he is in front of Scott Dixon. Of 1.3 seconds back is Townsend Bell with Dan Weldon and Dario Franchitti rounding out your top 5. And they are lapping at about 220 to 221.
I kind of feel at this point that Dixon is actually letting Tagliani clean the air for him. It's as if he's trying to stay there. He can keep the pace. It looks like he's trying to save some fuel. And both these cars look very comfortable to drive. Townsend Bell, on the other hand, seems like every now and again he catches up.
That might just be a function of the downforce level on the car. Maybe it might be a little bit more comfortable being a little bit further back from the car in front. There again, changes inside the cockpit or maybe some wing adjustments and tire pressures during a pit stop. But this is the time of the race where you really need to see what kind of a car you have underneath you, as you mentioned earlier, Eddie, and get into a rhythm, get into the smooth groove, and just tell the guys back in the pit lane what's going on. And you can make some changes in the first stop. Rick Mears was always so good with this of making the race car go towards the conditions.
Let's drop back a little farther in the field. There's Elio Castroneves in the 3 and right in front of Graham Rahal. And Rahal is our biggest movers, guys. He started 29th. He has moved up 8 spots to the 21st position. Doc, what do you hear?
Just before climbing in the car, he told me, he said, here are my goals today. He said, run 500 miles, number 1. Number 2, be patient. Number 3, pass lots of cars early. Number 4, be patient. Number 5, get in the top 5 with 30 laps to go. And number 6, do all that while being patient. I think he forgot the patient part. Vince?
Elio Castroneves, just as Scott Goodyear was talking about the fact that you had to choose the proper downforce level, and Rick Mears was such a genius at that. Mears, one of the spotters for Elio. Elio said that would be a key decision today, and he referenced 2008 when they had to put downforce in the car that would give him stability, but in the end it limited his passing speed, and that was a downfall. He said we can't afford that mistake coming from deep in the field today. He's currently running 20th.
Two guys who could make a lot of history today. Of course, Elio could get his 4th Indy 500 championship, and Graham Rahal could become the youngest winner on the 25th anniversary of his father's Indy 500 win. Let's go back up front. There is Alex Tagliani. He has opened up an 0.8 of a second lead over Scott Dixon. And behind Dixon, it's another full second back to Townsend Bell in 3rd. There is Townsend, Dan Weldon in 4th, and Dario Franchitti. You see him there in 5th.
And Eddie, what I noticed right now is that Alex Tagliani, his car is not using up all the road. Look how close Dixon gets to the wall, or riding aboard with Franchitti there. But when you're watching the drivers right now, his car is very comfortable, not even down to the white line by the apex, not even using up all the road on the exit. And for these drivers right now, the car, when it's working well, is very easy to drive. When it starts to move around, it starts to slide towards the wall.
Especially when you're in the lead, because you have that beautiful, clean air.
Just saw target machine of Scott Dixon that we're riding on board with right now start to slide along. And as you watch the Firestone telemetry, 100% throttle, the RPMs are creeping up. 10.3 is the maximum. Look at the speed, close to 230 going in, just touching it. Car set up nicely. You only want to lose 4 or 5 miles an hour going through the turns, maybe a little bit too much there. Back down onto the front stretch.
One thing we can tell you, Scott Dixon has hit the push-to-pass button. You get 15 uses, as we described at the beginning of the race. He's used it once. Alex Tagliani has actually used it 3 times already, guys. Paul Tracy into the pits. This is an unscheduled pit stop here on lap number 21.
And they're making adjustments to his front wing.
And they've got a problem. The engine has been shut off. Let's go back. Maybe we can see exactly what happened to Paul.
There he's in the middle of the turn, a little high off the white line, the low side, up into the gray, and yes, he's going to tag the wall just with that right side, and the yellow is now out.
We've got yellow for the first time, and Takuma Sato from Japan has hit the wall and has brought out our first caution. Right after Paul Tracy had brushed the wall as well. Saw Jimmy Vassar there, one of the co-owners of the team. Sato's damage is serious there. That's put him out for the day.
I would have thought, looking at Tracy's accident, there would have been more grip up there, Scott. We're really early off in the race, and there shouldn't be any marbles.
And Sato actually has the car going underneath him, and in this situation there, he is up into the gray area and too high, and the marbles are probably already started. The marbles are those little pieces of rubber that come off the tires as the cars continue to go around, and once you're up in that area, there's absolutely no grip.
But he was way too high, way too late. That's one of those things, if you see somebody's coming, you should do what Tagliani and Dixon did, is move to one side, let him pass you before you get to the corner so you don't have to be up high in the gray area. Because that gray area is no man's land.
Takuma's second Indy 500 appearance. He finished 20th last year in his rookie debut, the 34-year-old from Tokyo, Japan. And our average speed, guys, in the first 20 laps, 220.5 miles miles an hour.
And as the pit window usually is a maximum somewhere around 30 or 32 laps, at lap 21 right now, you're going to see everybody coming into pit lane for service for their 4 Firestone tires and 22 gallons of fuel.
And this is the first real test for the mechanics. They have to get that first pit stop out of the way. Just like the race car drivers, they're nervous at the start of the race. If they can get the first one down right, it sets the right pace for the rest of the race.
I can tell you, Paul Tracy is still on pit road. He is now 3 laps down. So is Simona Di Silvestro. She is back out on track after her early issues. For Tracy, as you see him there, in 6 prior starts, he's had 4 DNFs. And of course, at one time in 2002, he still thinks he won this race. Race we went to Elio Castroneves.
But like he said, he didn't get the bottle of milk.
That's right. And he may not be able to get back out on track either.
And for Paul Tracy,
he's... It was stepping out at 1-2 like crazy.
Did he say the car was stepping out?
Stepping out, so that means the back end's coming out when it's usually got oversteer. But this is the time of the race where he's got the experience. He's 42 years old, has so many runs underneath his belt and so many wins. He knows the car is not working. I mean, Eddie, he should have really just throttled back a little bit, got to the first pit stop, made some changes, and continued on. 500 miles is a long time.
As we get ready for this first round of pit stops, we can tell you the biggest mover has been Graham Rahal. He has picked up 9 positions to 20th. Tony Kanon's picked up 7 positions. He's now up to 15th. Marco Andretti has picked up 6 positions. He is 21st, right in front of his Andretti Autosport teammate, Danica Patrick.
Talked about pressure a little bit earlier on, Eddie. Alex Tagliani, leading this race, wants to win it so bad. The pressure and the butterflies in his stomach right now have to be immense.
Here we go with our first round of pit stops. And Dr. Jerry Punch, Ryan Briscoe's coming your way.
Marty Ryan started 26, has only gained 1 position because they've been battling a serious understeer in the car in turns 1 and 2. The car very much pushy, would not turn at all. Roger Penske said, be patient, we know how to get you there. It's just any other race, so he's only gained 1 position. They will come in and make a front wing adjustment to try to allow the understeer. Let's go down to Rick Cabrera.
Will Power brings the car, and they're going to give him half a turn on the front wing. The car isn't handling quite right. They need to move up. Jamie?
Scott Dixon in the 9. He's tightening him up, down and away. 77 is Alex Tagliani. Fuel and tires only. Alex Tagliani is your winner off pit road, and he retains the lead. Marty?
Will Power, the 12 car, has no left rear tire. Tagliani wins the Sunoco Pace race off pit road, but this is the story right now. We talked about this. You cannot afford to make a mistake on pit road, and there is Will Power.
And that happens. That happens when everybody, you just one poor judgment, and there goes your race.
We talked about the pressure not only in the drivers, but also on the crew. You have to have all those stops perfectly. The wheel does not get on right. The serviceman is actually waving his hand. Will Power is off and going, and unfortunately the wheel nut was not on.
And you saw that it ended up in another pit. We'll check and see if anybody was injured, but there is Will Power trying to limp his way around to get back in to get that 4th tire.
It's the Super GoDaddy girls. Who's the small business owner without a domain name and a website? That's expensive, right?
Wrong. GoDaddy.com makes it totally affordable.
Besides, a small business without a website is like a superhero without a sidekick.
I thought you were the sidekick. Anyway, we need to teach you a lesson.
See more now at GoDaddy.com.
Once upon a time, a bunch of guys got together with a crazy idea. Go farther, faster than mankind ever had before. They dreamt with their hands, and the world watched and waited. Well, time has marched on and priorities have changed. It's nice to know America still builds rockets. The 2011 Corvette, only from Chevrolet.
What's your 230 feeling like?
Well, it's like my brain just stops working.
Feel fuzzy, groggy?
I can barely keep my eyes open.
So what do?
I used to get another coffee.
Yeah, coffee or soda.
Then another coffee.
But I switched to 5-Hour Energy.
Just one 5-hour energy.
The rest of the day, I'm great.
0 sugar, only 4 calories.
I'm in control.
It's me. Just a better, more awake me.
Gotta try 5-hour energy.
5-hour energy. Hours of energy now. No 2:30 feeling later.
Story about a man with a car and a job, a wife and a kid, and his name is Bob. Just a regular guy with a regular car, but it's what he rolls on that makes him a star. Firestone. That's Bob's story. He ain't no liar, because everybody knows the legends ride fire.
Firestone. Legendary drivers need legendary tires. Get a $50 Firestone MasterCard prepaid card by mail when you buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires.
How'd you like to come and see the world with me?
Is the Pope Mobile Catholic?
This summer,
Go McQueen!
there's a race in every country.
There's never been a competition like this before. This isn't Radiator Springs.
Danger at every turn.
You'll never feel more alive than when you're almost dead.
Bellissima!
And excitement.
Coming through! Leaking oil.
Where they least expect it.
Hey, that's tickles.
Disney Pixar's Cars 2, rated G. Coming to theaters in IMAX 3D.
And side by side, you saw that Will Power did make it back to pit lane. He's now got 4 fresh Firestones on the car. He has been bumped back to 29th at this stage. He was 7th. Here's the replay.
Now the servicemen are doing the work to the car, and you'll notice that the inside rear tire changer is actually waving, say his work is not complete, and the message is not passed along to Will Power, who then departs the pit lane. Now you watch here very closely. Just look in your back right-hand corner here, which is the left rear for the 12 car of Will Power. The wheel will come dislodged as the car leaves. You can see the guy on the right-hand side waving quickly, saying it's not on. He had a problem, and the car comes off.
Rick, give us the latest.
Boy, very frustrating for these guys. I actually watched them this morning. Then they came out before they got to the grid. They were out here practicing pit stops, trying to get it right down on race day. The good news is you see Clive Howell there. He's the strategist for Will Power, standing by with the headsets in the center. They brought him in, they changed that left rear, and they gave it thumbs up. It appears that there was no damage to the car, and that's the critical thing. He's at the back of the pack, but it'll go.
And while we've got a quick moment here, let's check in with Jamie Little, as I think she's caught up with Lotzine Benson, who was the lucky man who got to ride in the 2-seater.
Yes, Sergeant Benson got to go for a thrill ride with Mario Andretti. What was that like for you?
It was absolutely amazing, and it's unlike anything I could have even possibly have expected. And the speeds that they're doing now, I can't even expect that after even already doing 190. So it's just outstanding. And I guess it's possible for anybody to do it. You just go to shophonda.com and you can sign up for it.
And you wrote a great letter. You fought in Iraq and was injured, and you were chosen to do it. Mario, what was it like for you starting this field with him behind you?
Well, it was as big a thrill as you can imagine, because I think both of us can claim that we did the first hot lap in the Centennial race. And I was hoping that he would have a good time, and I think he did, because I always do. And so it was great. It was very clean. I love to do this. ShopHonda.com. You can enter that. You get into the, you can get a ride with me at some of the other races later on in the season.
Great opportunity. Let's go back upstairs to Marty.
We're getting ready for history here. Our first double foul restart. They come into turn number 3. They're still side by side. Some pretty good spacing as they come out of 4. The green flag flies. Here we go. Will it work as they head towards turn number 1? It's Tagliani, Dixon, Bell, and Serbia.
This will be the race down to turn 1. Who's going to be more brave, or somebody going to be able to take advantage of it? Dixon's got the better line.
And he'll take the lead. So Scott Dixon back out in front. Tagliani second. Oh, look out, car into the wall. E.J. Vizo is into the wall hard.
So that was our first double file restart.
And we almost made it.
And unfortunately for KV Racing, that is the second car for them that is out.
That's out, car.
Takuma Sato was our first caution, and now the second for Venezuela's E.J. Vizo.
Now, the biggest difference, obviously, is the fact that they're starting side by side, but it looked like they were starting to get in line, Scott, didn't they? It looked tidy from what we could see.
They gave everybody space up there in the top side in turns 3 and 4. I think it was done picture perfect. Not sure how this came about, But we have unfortunately seen a lot of that with EJ over the years.
Let's go from high out top and see what happened.
No room.
Can't do 3 wide going into 1.
And it's not the last lap of the race. The first restart. Quite frankly, we should know better.
Yeah, absolutely. That is uncalled for.
On board with Ryan Briscoe.
Listen to Briscoe, gets off the throttle. He sees it transpiring in front of him, does an excellent job getting through all that. And Eddie, you've been through that, I've been through that. Man, your heart rate is just going through the roof.
And you're on automatic. Your hands are... Oh, and how about Marco? Oh, that is close.
Go low, go low, go low. Yellow. Hey, good job.
Wow. That was great driving from Marco. That was very hard. He couldn't have been 2 inches away from that car.
Paper between the wheels.
Well, I was watching Briscoe's hands going back and forth, and I was thinking, left, right, which way do I go? All right, well, we're going to clean up the mess in our second caution here at Indianapolis. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between. And Chevrolet and America's premier sports car, Corvette.
At Indianapolis, they've almost created drama in the sense of anticipation before the start of the race.
The roar of the crowd, and then, you know, start your engines, and away it goes, and the sound. There was this big 5.1 audio effect going all the way around the track. It was unbelievable to see.
I don't care who you are, where you've been, what you've seen, you would have goose pimples. I've even got them now thinking about it.
Jackie, we get them too. I trust you. We're back here at Indianapolis getting ready for another of our double file restarts. The first one went pretty well until they tried to go 3 wide down into turn number 1. And there is John Andretti, of course, in the 43. He started 17th. He has moved up to 11th. And Vince is with a pretty happy car owner, I think.
That's right, John Andretti, of course, the grandson of Mario Andretti. His godfather is A.J. Foyt, and then a business partner with this man and drives the paint scheme of Richard Petty, one of the NASCAR legends. What do you think about seeing that 43 car going around at 220 plus?
It looks really good. You know, he started back there 17th, worked his way up to 10th or 11th right now. So right now he's holding his own, so that's all we can ask for him right now.
Good to see you at Indianapolis, Richard.
Glad to be here, man.
Marty?
All right, let's reset it for you. It's going to be Dixon, Tagliani up front, then Bell, Franchitti in row 2, Servia and Weldon in row number 3. Let's go back and take another example and watch Ryan Briscoe's hands as he's trying to decide which way to go.
You can see all 3 cars going for the same piece of real estate up front. And as I mentioned, this early in the race, that's probably not what you want to be doing. Briscoe does a great job. He got out of the throttle early because he saw it happen in front of him, Eddie.
But it doesn't make any sense. What they're trying to do makes absolutely no sense. And if you're looking at, there's just no room. I don't understand why one of them didn't lift. And that, to be at the beginning of a 500-mile race and be doing that, what are you thinking?
That was the 06 of James Hinchcliffe, one of the rookies in the race on one side. And let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, because of the double file restarts and what could happen, what you saw a moment ago, Roger Penske brought his most experienced crewman, 28-year veteran Rick Reineman, back to the racetrack. He put Reineman in turn 1 at the end of the front straightaway for one reason, and that was to talk to Ryan Briscoe and clear him if something happened around him. That's exactly what he did a moment ago, and it saved him a race car. It might have saved him a race.
Thank you, Doc. Let's check in on Dario Franchitti's situation as they were approaching that first double file restart.
Hey, Dave and Dario, not sure if we heard the green flag a little late for that one. I'm not sure if we missed it or you actually got it on time.
I called it. It seems like race control called it late.
Wait for the leaders to go, and then they're calling green when the leaders already accelerated for about 2 seconds.
So obviously a little confusion.
What they're doing is they're starting to build up the knowledge they have on these restarts. Those 2 seconds they were talking about, that's 2 seconds earlier that he probably could have accelerated. So they're starting to figure out how they're going to play out these side-by-side restarts.
And it's important to note that our restarts are now happening still back here in turns 3 and 4. But before, when it was single file, the car that was in front of you went off of him. Now, sitting back a little closer, you can didn't see the leader, and that's what he's talking about. I went off the leader that time, not necessarily off what they're telling me from the spotters channel on the radio, Eddie.
Which is always a good idea, going off the leader, because he's the one that has the call.
He's the one you want to catch.
He's the one you have to catch.
Getting the signal that the next time by will go green. That's the 400 horsepower 2011 Camaro convertible pace car for today's race. It was driven pre-race by four-time Indy 500 champion A.J. Foyt. To learn more about the pace car and the Camaro, go to Chevy.com. All right, we talked about the double foul restarts. How about if we let the drivers tell you what their thoughts are about those double foul restarts?
For 100 years now, or actually 99 years, they've been using single foul restarts here, and I don't think this track lends itself well to double wide restarts.
Probably more times than not, you're going to view the double foul restart as an opportunity to make up more positions.
I think it's definitely going to create more excitement.
I hate them.
The whole field is going to have a chance to win this race. And they all going to think that, and they all going to try that.
Well, here they are forming up, and we saw just a few moments ago as we went to that, there is some plastic, it looks like, around the suspension of the 10 car.
I don't think it's an issue, though.
As long as it doesn't get inside that radiator duct, which is inside that side pod. And on Alex Tagliani, guys, he said, I hate restarts. You better start liking them right now. Double file, Marty.
Look at the crowd coming to their feet as the cars side by side come through turn number 3. It is Dixon leading Tagliani, then Bell, Franchitti, Serbia, and Weldon. They come down and get ready. Here we go through turn 4, and the green flag flies.
And we know the high line in 1 does not work today.
Although Dixon, the red car in front, got a great jump. Tags is going to try and make a move, go on the inside into 1, gets it done.
And look behind him. Whoa, Dario trying to make the move as well, and he makes it stick. Does everybody make it through this time? It looks like they did. Now through 2. It's Tagliani, Dixon, Bell, Franchitti. There is the 99. As Bell has slid back another spot.
I don't know about you, Scott, but I'm kind of liking these double file restarts. More is happening on the first 2 corners. It was tight, but it was active.
I like it because we're sitting here, Eddie. I'm not so sure I'm going to be a fan of it. I was actually sitting in the seat.
I don't sit over there anymore.
It's a lot more pressure, and then actually now Dixon's going to return the favor.
And he's going to retake the lead. So these two have swapped the lead now between them on all 34 of our race laps that we've completed. And boy, all of a sudden, it looks like he's going to pull away for a little bit.
And Franchitti is 3rd.
So Dario moved him to 3rd, Dan Weldon 4th. Townsend Bell, as we've mentioned, had dropped back to 5th. On the move there, Ed Carpenter, as Carpenter goes around Oriol Servia, the man who started on the outside of the front row. So Carpenter all of a sudden inserting himself into the mix.
And we touched on Servia's car at the very beginning of the show, the blue car that you saw on your screen there for a second. Cars are going around him again on the outside of row 1. The car's not been comfortable for him since the start, Marty.
Yeah, he's lost 2 more positions as Servia has lost spots to Mira and Kanan. He's back to the 9th spot.
Now, what's happened from what we saw before, a lot of these cars have made very small adjustments when they're in the pit, so they probably have an improved balance as to what they had at the beginning of the race. And we have to remind everybody that all of the practice that they have done before this race has been done in cooler temperatures.
The battle for second place is getting a little warmer. Here comes Dario Franchitti closing on Alex Tagliani.
Tags moves to the middle of the track to follow the slipstream left by the car in front, which is the number 9 car of Dixon.
And it's just to reopen some space over Franchitti. Behind Franchitti, it's Weldon and Bell, with Ed Carpenter now shown in 5th.
Eddie, as you know, these cars run differently as the fuel load goes. As Dixon starts to stock the 77 of Alex Tagliani on a full fuel, right as you come off of a pit stop, sometimes the car works great with new tires and sometimes it goes away. Or conversely, sometimes the car gets better as the run goes on. That's what we'll watch for right here.
Franchitti is all over Tagliani.
Has to be patient.
Alex is the meat in a Ganassi sandwich. He's got Dixon in front of him, Franchitti right behind him.
But with a driver like Franchitti, he knows how to win this. He's won it twice. He's very patient. I think he's just prodding Tagliani, trying to see what happens when I put my nose up high, what happens when I go down on the bottom. Where am I faster than he is?
Let's get an update on Tagliani, Jamie.
Well, this 77 team is not surprised how Tagliani is running and how fast this car is. He actually this Indy 500 with back in 2007. They knew how to adjust for this hot temperature. The car is good. They made no adjustments on that first round of stops. Meanwhile, the 9 of Scott Dixon did adjust his car, and he is keeping an eye on the 77.
There is Sam Schmidt. What a story this would be if Alex could win this race. He runs that team from his wheelchair, and he has had success in the Indy Lights program, which is a feeder system into this major series of the IndyCar Series. As this race continues here with 38 laps complete, it's Dixon, Tagliani, Franchitti, and Weldon. Our race is presented by GoDaddy.com.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, what do you got in this thing?
16 valve, 2.4 liter engine, 200 horsepower, air conditioning.
32 valve, 3.5 liter engine, 650 horsepower, air conditioning.
You could start an IZOD IndyCar race with Mario Andretti. Go to shophonda.com to enter and check out the all-new Civic, the official vehicle of IndyCar.
Got it. Don't be the last to know. Get it faster with 4G. It's the network of possibilities. AT&T.
At Mothers, we come up with innovative solutions to common car care problems, like yellow clouded headlights. They're unsightly, and the reduced light output is a serious safety concern. Mother's Powerball for Lights is a revolutionary product. Restoring headlight clarity may seem complicated, but it's not. Powerball for Lights is quick, inexpensive, and easy to use, even on severely damaged headlights. Restore, maintain, and protect. Mother's Powerball for Lights Headlight Restoration Kit.
Come on, baby! Like four-wheel driving in a big race.
The world's best battle it out for the IZOD IndyCar Series World Championship. Headlining 4 days of adrenaline-pounding action. And we're betting $5 million. No driver in the world can beat IndyCar's best. Race day tickets start at $39. Or buy a ticket to any race this season and grab yourself a ringside seat in Vegas for free. Tickets available now at IndyCarWorldChampionships.com or call 866-INDYCAR. See you in Vegas.
ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN tonight and Tuesday first. Catch Sunday Night Baseball, 8 Eastern. Joey Votto and the Reds head to Atlanta to take on Chipper Jones and the Braves. And then Tuesday, San Francisco Giants are in St. Louis for a series against Matt Holliday, Albert Pujols, and the Cardinals. Major League Baseball on ESPN Sunday and Tuesday. Back here at the greatest spectacle in racing, our race leader is Scott Dixon by 0.7 of a second over Alex Tagliani and Dario Franchitti close behind. There you see him in third. A little bit farther back, fourth is Dan Weldon. Look at this, the pass for the position. Here goes Dario Franchitti going into second. So now it is Chip Ganassi Racing running 1-2.
It'll be interesting to see how these two teammates work together. If you know that you don't have to cover your back, you can run a much different line than if you have to defend yourself. And here comes Weldon.
Tagliani under attack. Weldon, the man who won this race back in 2005, moves into the third position. So our pole sitter is now back to fourth.
And I think the thing that's happening for Tagliani right now is that he's dropped 2 miles an hour on that last lap. His car was good. Something happened. And now instead of doing 222s, he just did a 220 that last time through.
And he's already used 7 of his 15 push to pass.
And it's way too early in the race to be relying on that.
Oh, it really is. And I think I like the way that you explained it last year, Eddie. It's almost like having a debit card. You start using it too soon, you got nothing left to buy Christmas presents.
That's right. And your Christmas presents come around on the last 20 laps.
That's right.
action side by side. You see Will Power there as he is trying to fight his way back into the battle. Ryan Hunter-Reay in that mix as well. James Hinchcliffe in front of both of them. So Ryan Hunter-Reay now into the 26th spot. Charlie Kimball has moved into 27th. Will Power has been bumped back to 28th.
Two things happened in Will Power's pit stop. Obviously, one, the tire problem, but the second is he had to go around the track on three wheels. I don't care what anybody says. That's not good for a car. And when a driver's having to go out there at speed and run it, you never know what was rubbing and what wasn't rubbing on the asphalt.
And it takes you a couple of laps to believe in it. You just can't go and put your foot on it. I don't care who you are.
He's Australian. He's hard-headed.
Power is the last car on the lead lap, 28th position, 22 seconds behind the leader. That pit stop where he lost the left rear tire has been oh so costly. Looking down high above, a great crowd on hand here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we approach the 1/4 mark of the 100th anniversary edition of this great race. The man out front is Scott Dixon. He started second. They're running 1-2 with his teammate Dario Franchitti right behind. They have got a 1.2-second lead over third place Dan Weldon, the 2005 winner, with Alex Tagliani, our pole sitter, in fourth. Tony Kanaan, all of a sudden, has been moving up, and he has just gotten around Ed Carpenter, moving up to sixth. He started 22nd, that's 16 spots. This reminds me of last year when he started in the back of the field and worked his way up. Doc, what do you have on Tony?
Exactly a year ago, he started 33rd and got all the way to second in the final laps and ran short on fuel. But Tony Kanaan today is a man on a mission. On carb day practice on Friday, he said the car was fast, and although it's going to be 25 degrees hotter today, and it is, he would not allow his engineers to dial in more downforce. He said, you know what, the track's going to be hot and greasy, but I'm going to be fast, and I am going to the front. Right now, TK is exactly where he wants to be. He wanted to be in the top 10 by lap 50 and moving to top 5 by lap 100, positioning for that first Indy 500 victory.
And as he continues to pull away from Ed Carpenter, farther back in the field, a couple of his old former teammates are running pretty close together, back in 18th and 19th position. Marco Andretti and Danica Patrick, and there they are. Danica right now 18 seconds behind the race leaders. Vince?
Danica is moving up, though. Remember, she started 25th, so she's gained 6 spots, starting to close in on Marco. They did make a front wing adjustment on that first stop. Her steering was a little positive in that initial stint. Now they're just past the halfway mark in their fuel load here, and Danica told me earlier in the week, I will not be impatient. I learned early on from the veterans, it was the #1 lesson they taught me. 500 miles is a long way. Be patient. They haven't even had to remind her of that today. She's getting a little bit better and moving slowly but surely forward, Marty.
And you saw on the Firestone telemetry that she had to lift going in through turns 1 and 2. There is your top 5. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com.
Official iZod IndyCar mobile app.
These are the Bose Quiet Comfort 15 noise-canceling headphones. Engineered to make air travel quieter and music more enjoyable. Bose was the first to introduce noise-canceling headphones over 20 years ago, and these are the new standard. Seth Porges of Popular Mechanics states that compared to the competition, the QC15s are vastly superior. Try them for 30 days risk-free with free shipping. Quiet Comfort 15 headphones, only from Bose.
Any minute.
Hey, you know they're not coming back.
Really? But they just bought me.
Get over it, Tubby.
Tubby.
They're in Vegas, and they left us here to rot. Can't blame them. With all the 5-star restaurants, spas, designer golf courses, even pool parties.
Wait, I'm gonna rot?
Can I help you?
Are these tablets...
Mom?
Allow me. Are these tablets flash ready?
Yes.
Which ones?
These, including the Samsung Galaxy Tab.
What about movies?
Straight from Android market to the Motorola Zoom.
4G upgradable.
4G LTE upgradable.
You always wear glasses?
Only when I'm not wearing contacts.
He's clean. My job's done.
A wide selection of tablets at great prices from the people who know them best. Verizon.
Mavericks. Heat. A finals rematch 5 years in the making. Miami survived all the hype, all the noise, all the bumps in the road for a shot at the title. Now the Big Three face a team loaded with veteran savvy. Led by a star determined to be a champion and cement his legacy as one of the best of a generation. History is waiting. The NBA Finals. Mavericks Heat Game 1. Tuesday on ABC.
Welcome back to Indianapolis as you look down on this fabulous scene today as our helicam coverage is brought to you by GoDaddy.com and a previous winner from New Zealand. Scott Dixon has led 34 laps. We're just past the 1/4 way now, and he has made his way to the front. Meanwhile, our pole sitter, Alex Tagliani, has slipped back to 4th place. But it is one of the great stories that we are tracking here today. Back in 2000, racing a car down in Orlando, practicing, the owner of this team, Sam Schmidt, suffered a horrendous crash and became a paraplegic. But he didn't feel sorry for himself. He just came out and said, I want to go to work. And here he is. He is the director of this racing operation, and he directs from his wheelchair. Jamie Little, this is just one of the great stories that any of us have ever been around, and everyone is pulling for Sam.
Absolutely, Brent. Sam Schmidt told me at the start of this race he is living his dream, but his driver, meanwhile, has fallen off the pace a little bit, and he's not saying a whole lot on the radio.
How's the car? All right. Attaboy, now just keep with that pack up there. Start hitting your marks again.
All he said there was, it's all right. He's not saying much. He just lost his rhythm. They said focus and get back in your rhythm. Guys.
All right, thank you, Jamie, as we're on board with Alex.
He looks comfortable, but if you listen, he keeps coming off the throttle on all the exits of 1 and 2. And if you look at the speeds, the fastest cars right now are Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti. The Ganassi plan is falling into place. When you can run with your teammate, it's so much easier.
And watch the Firestone telemetry. You can just listen how the RPMs go down. Off the throttle there, you can see that. And that's not what you want. You're in clean air right now. You want to be able to actually drive flat out. And so that means the car is understeering. The front's not acting exactly as the driver wants. He turns in. Listen.
Good pace, buddy. Good pace. Keep Danny in your sights. Keep Walden in your sights. Boy.
He needs to change during the next pit stop.
Of the two cars in front, the one that really has the biggest advantage is Franchitti because he's running along at the same pace, but he's using a lot less fuel. Do you see that thank you that he got when I think that is always, boy, the car really loses the front end when they get close, doesn't it, Scott?
You're riding on board with Dario Franchitti as he flies down the front straightaway. He's following Scott Dixon. And does Chip Ganassi get another Indy 500 win? Stay with us to find out.
And welcome back to Indianapolis as Scott Dixon, the number 9 car, makes his way down pit road in approach to pitting. 60 miles an hour is his speed limit, saying the car is pretty good. It's going to be a 4-tire stop. You see the probe go in there, filling it up with Sunoco fuel. No changes right now for Scott Dixon. And these slow stop, guys. Is down in the way. Doc.
Oh, what a terrible situation for Tony Kanaan. We have trouble on the racetrack, guys.
Jay Howard has crashed, bringing out our 3rd caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So everybody that has stopped early obviously will take advantage of the waiver round. Here comes Dario Franchitti.
And the question is for Dario Franchitti, was inside the pit lane before it went yellow.
But he was at the end of his run. He had to come in.
Jamie?
And it's a normal stop. They're calling here 4 tires, no adjustments for Dario Franchitti, who was getting
Let's see if league officials listen, agree with Dario. He comes back out onto the racetrack.
It did look like maybe a small adjustment of front wing for Dario on that stop, and we saw a wheel and tire assembly rolling down the track, which we only presume is from the right rear you see there on the 88 car of Jay Howard. And he had just come out back onto the racetrack from a pit stop.
Jay, his first start here at the Indianapolis 500, former Indy Lights champion.
There's the car on the apron. It gets a wiggle because the tire and wheel assembly is loose. Wheel nut probably not on there securely. He was doing everything correctly, getting back up on the gas, Eddie, and then when that happens there, and unfortunately he's going to make contact with the wall.
That was the best possible thing that could have happened, having lost that wheel, that he did not go up the track. If he would have gone up the track in front of those cars that were coming, he could have been hit by 3 of them.
Absolutely. Disappointing for him because this is his 3rd attempt and finally getting into this race.
So twice so far today, guys, we've seen wheel nuts not being properly installed, and it's really been costly for 2 cars.
And it is, and there's more pressure here as we talked about at the top of the show. As we see Danica Patrick in the pit lane right now, 6 to 9 pit stops here in a 500-mile race.
She had come in to get fuel.
I think she has a problem.
I think she was running out, and that's why you are allowed to come in during the yellow before the pits are open if you need fuel. So she will go back out, and she'll have to make another stop to get tires. Well, we were talking about Tony Kanaan a little bit earlier and the problem he had on his pit stop. Doc, update us.
He was coming down for the routine pit stop, and as he was coming down pit road and trying to turn into the pits, the car coming out around him, and the crew said it was Pippa Mann. They were looking down, of course, very inexperienced, making her very first pit stops today. She came down pit road, and TK could not get turned left into his pits and had to stop. The crew then had to go retrieve the car, pull it back up pit road into their pit stall, and make the pit stop. It cost him a good 35 seconds, and a break, of course, was the yellow coming out while they were sitting here to be able to change tires. And another break was there was minimal to no contact at all with anyone else.
And you're right, Jerry. It was a break that the yellow came out. He's a lap down, but he will be able to take advantage eventually, if not earlier, here for the waiver round. Stay with us. We'll show you what happens. Well, you see Ed Carpenter, and he had taken over the race lead as he became our 4th different leader under our 3rd caution. And to hear the work on those cars, what's really going to be interesting now is you see Ed come back out. Several of these other cars that were literally on fumes are now making their needed pit stops.
And Franchitti barely made it in. He was the last one, I believe, that got a full tank of fuel. So really what we see here is just a question of chance of being in the right place at the right time.
Huge opportunity for Dario Franchitti because he had committed to pit road and was able to complete his service, and he will assume the race lead.
Under yellow before they close the pit.
That's right. And there he is. So while we're still waiting for everything to sort out, we'll find out who gets to take advantage of the potential waiver rounds by staying out. And it looks like they are not ready to make that move yet, so we'll take a quick break here, come back and reset it for you at the 100th anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Brought to you by IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD IndyCar Series. And Progressive Insurance, introducing the Snapshot Discount.
Looking down from high above, here at the Indianapolis 500, our current race leader is Dario Franchitti. He is one of 4 different leaders. The man who's led the most laps is Scott Dixon. Danica Patrick's running 13th right now, but more on that situation in a moment. Alex Tagliani started on pole, led a total of 20 laps. He right now finds himself in 4th position. Now there's going to be several waiver round cars that will get them back on the lead lap. First, let's give you an update on Danica Patrick. She is one of 7 cars that are going to be penalized when the pits were closed. Give us the update, Vince.
Well, Danica was about to run out of fuel. That's why she came. So they had to come back in after getting that initial fuel because of the fact she was going to run out to make further adjustments. Also, another issue for Danica has been dealing with the spotter and making sure that their communication is spot on.
Hey, George, will you tell me that there's traffic? I'm a little unclear. It's just that I looked in my mirror and saw that it looked like it might be one car on the outside. So maybe just tell me one car outside. If that's what I'm thinking, there's two cars coming at me. So just try and do that if you can.
So there's Danica, and there's TJ, her father, way up high, looking down. We'll be back with more after this message from our ABC stations. Back here at the Indianapolis 500, where we have just gone back to green flag racing, and the side-by-side double file restarts. We got them 3 wide coming into turn number 3. That's Ed Carpenter in the 67. It sorts itself out, and everybody somehow makes it through.
And the car on the high side right now, Thomas Schechter in the 07. Eddie, you know he's aggressive. He drove for you back in 2002, and he's just got his foot on the gas.
That's Anna Beatrice, and he does not give an inch.
That was Anna Beatrice in the 24, and right behind is Ed Carpenter. And they make it through the corner once again. Up front, it is Franchitti and Dixon with Tagliani, Weldon, and Bell. That is your top 5. While things have sort of settled down, and there you see what it looks like from turn number 3, there were 6 wave-around cars, so that gives us now 24 cars on the lead lap.
And the Ganassi train is hooked back up again, and Tagliani is getting on the back of it. What he has to do is stick with those top 2. But he's come in, though, from that last pit stop. He was able to make a few changes, Scott, so we'll see if they've tuned that car in a little bit better.
Right now, Dixon dives down the inside, takes that draft away, Eddie, and gets a great run going down there and times it perfectly. Now, will that throw Franchitti off enough that allows Tagliani, Marty, to be able to get a run down the backstretch?
We'll find out as they head towards turn number 3. Don't think he's going to be close enough. On board with Tagliani.
A little better on the throttle. Trey said it. We talked before about how much he was letting off. Could have made some changes on the pit stop.
4th place there is Dan Weldon. He is closing on Tagliani.
I don't think when you see the 2 Ganassi cars passing each other, Marty, that they're actually racing for position. They're just, if the one behind has a run, he lets him go by, and then he just drags him along the track. Where when you see Tagliani fighting with Weldon, that's different. They're fighting for position.
I think you're right, Eddie. I think the 2 red cars will go to battle in the last 20, 30 laps if they're still in that same position.
But the most important thing at this point is to get into your rhythm, find a dancing partner, and maintain the speed of the leaders.
While we watch these cars circle this 2.5-mile historic oval, let's get an update from Jamie on the leaders.
Well, Marty, before that round of pit stops, Scott Dixon's crew told him, watch the use of your weight jacker. Well, look at the left front tire. This came off of his car on that last round. It's down to the cords. Guys, I'm going to ask you a question, Scott and Eddie. What exactly leads to this?
Well, obviously there's a lot of tire wear going on. The track is just a little bit green because we've had a fair amount of rain here, Eddie, but I would have thought that we would have run enough laps to get some rubber down the racetrack, but psychologically, as a driver, do you want to know that or do you not want to know that?
What that means is there's no more rubber. So you're right. It is because the track was green, and they're running at a pretty fast pace, but I was expecting to be a little bit quicker than this, but they have picked up on this last pit stop. They're now running 223 miles an hour.
With all the action that we had with the 3rd caution and everything else, we never got a chance to put a period on Simona Di Silvestro's day, as she is shown right now in 31st position. And she's out of the race. How about it, Doc?
Marty, her car has gone back to the garage area. Simona has stayed here on pit road. Simona, what happened to the car?
Well, I made a mistake in turn 1 in the beginning of the race, and I brushed the wall, and something just doesn't feel right after that. So they took it back to check it, and I really want to apologize to HPM and Entergy because, I screwed up a little bit there. Had a lot of understeer and brushed the wall, but everybody did a great job, and we'll see if we get back out, but we'll see.
How are your hands?
They're all right. They're hurting a little bit. It's pretty tough to drive like that, but you just screwed up, I guess, a little bit. So, my fault, definitely.
An injury and a disappointment here at Indy. They hope to be able to get the car, though, back on the racetrack soon, Marty.
Well, she doesn't have to apologize for anything. She was Rookie of the Year last year. Our highest rookie right now is J.R. Hildebrand. Started 12th. He's running 7th. You're looking at the 4 top cars as they streak down the front straightaway here, as we have now completed 77 of the 200 laps at the Indianapolis 500. In fact, the top 5 have opened up a 3-second margin back to 6th place. Hildebrand, it's Dixon, Franchitti, Tagliani, Weldon, and Townsend Bell. That is your top 5 right now. We show 3 cars out of the race. Jay Howard, E.J. Vizo, Takuma Sato. Tracy and Silvestro are still trying to get theirs repaired to get back up.
But you can really tell a difference between the Ganassi cars and everybody else.
Trouble for Ryan Hunter-Reay as he has slowed off the pace. Now remember, this is an A.J. Foyt car that he got into after being bumped out of the field. Created a bit of controversy, but right now his problem is that he is falling back rapidly. There goes Will Power around him. He is shown right now, last car on the lead lap in 24th position. Get an update from his pit as quickly as possible. In fact, let's go back and take a look as we may be able to get our answer right here. On board with Charlie Kimball. Oh, yeah.
He hit the wall going in the corner. So you never know when you rub up a wall like that if you flatten the tire or not. It takes probably 2 or 3 seconds to understand if you have. It's a very awkward feeling to have.
Well, it looks like he has gotten back up to speed. We'll keep an eye on him, see what happens.
And sometimes what happens with that is you end up knocking the alignment out of the car a little bit toe on the right rear corner, so now we'll handle differently, and smartly he goes for a couple of laps to get a feel for it and making sure it's okay instead of throwing it into the wall.
But to put that in perspective, he probably lost 400 yards because of that mistake.
So we've knocked down 80 of the 200 laps, and our race leader is a typical sight. Target Chip Ganassi Racing out in front with Dixon and Franchitti. Our telecast is presented by GoDaddy.com.
Gout's root cause is high uric acid. If you have gout, high uric acid can lead to more attacks. To help reduce attacks, lower your uric acid. Uloric lowers uric acid levels in adults with gout. It's not for the treatment of high uric acid without a history of gout. Uloric reduces uric acid to help you reach a healthy level.
Don't take Uloric if you are taking azathioprine, mercaptopurine, or theophylline. Gout may flare when starting Uloric. Don't stop taking it. Your doctor may give you other medicines to help prevent flares. A small number of heart attacks, strokes, and heart-related deaths were seen in studies. It's not certain Uloric caused them. Certain tests to check liver function may be required. Tell your doctor about liver or kidney problems or history of heart disease or stroke. The most common side effects are liver problems, nausea, gout flares, joint pain, and rash.
If you have gout, ask your doctor about Uloric.
In IndyCar racing, it's all about speed, and the action happens in the blink of an eye. So you need something that helps you keep up, like IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. It lets you keep pace with in-race audio, up to the second leaderboards, highlights, and even driver tweets. Download it now! Before the season passes you by!
Frames have their place, but this isn't one of them. Introducing the new Samsung Smart TV with a revolutionary virtually edgeless design. No matter what you watch, it feels bigger. Designed with less edge for more to see. That's the wonder of Samsung.
That's why there are 5 new Civics. The next generation Civic, only from Honda.
21st on ABC. And watch the finals coming Tuesday.
Let's check our motorsports calendar because NASCAR Now, presented by Shell Nitrogen, will be Monday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And our next stop on the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Chicago, Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. NHRA Super Nationals qualifying Saturday at 5:30 Eastern, and then the finals are next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern. That's both on ESPN2. And the next IZOD IndyCar Series race will be in Texas, Saturday, June 11th, 8 o'clock Eastern. They're going to run 2 races that night, and you'll see it with our friends over at Versus. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you're looking at Scott Dixon. He has led 53 laps. He's one of 4 different leaders. We've had 9 lead changes. Right behind him in second place is Dario Franchitti, as he is 6/10 of a second back. In third, Dan Weldon. He's just gotten around Alex Tagliani for that position. Of course, Weldon trying to become a 2-time winner in his own right. Tagliani has used the push-to-pass button a total of 9 times already. He's only got 6 left. He may run out before the end of this race. Townsend Bell been solid in the top 5 most of this race. He is running 3.8 seconds behind the race leader. In 6th spot is our best running rookie, and that is J.R. Hildebrand, as he is a total of 5.7 seconds behind the race lead, driving for John Barnes and Panther Racing. Then in 7th spot, the man who started on the outside of the front row from Spain, Oriol Servia for Newman Haas Racing. They're trying to win for the first time in 19 tries. In 8th place, it's Ed Carpenter, the Indianapolis resident, doing a fine job as he's 11 seconds back. And right behind him in 9th place is Graham Rahal, as he has moved up steadily through this field. Remember, he started 29th. He's trying to duplicate what his dad did just 25 years ago. For the rest of the field, let's go up to speed, and we'll start off with Don.
Tommy Schechter started 21st and has now moved up to 10th position. How did he do it? He says, I am driving with rhythm. I want to get in a rhythm and stay out of trouble. It's amazing what a couple of birthdays will do for a driver in terms of maturity. Thomas told me his biggest regret at Indy was in 2002. As a rookie, he was running away with the race, driving for Eddie Cheever, and he said, I drove like a lunatic into the wall with less than 30 laps to go and ruined my shot. Rick.
Well, let's talk about the man behind him, James Hinchcliffe, a rookie. Earlier this week, he told me he'd experienced just about everything. Getting into the field, being bumped, get back in, rain, everything. Well, now he's experienced what his team is calling being the meat in a sandwich. He got squeezed, bumped the right front, had some suspension issues earlier on. Now the team says the car is fine. As a result, he's now running in 11th place. Vince?
Running in 12th is Marco Andretti. Certainly been one of the movers here today. He's up 15 spots. I was speaking to his dad, Michael, just a few moments ago in his pits, and Michael was lamenting that they were really hung out on that last yellow in which they were just getting ready to pit. Coming in and the yellow came out. Otherwise, the race car is pretty good for Marco Andretti. Doc.
Ryan Briscoe from 26th to 13th. It would be better than that, but in the last yellow came out, Briscoe was caught out and had to pit under yellow for fuel. Rather than taking a splash, which are the rules, they decided to go ahead and fill the car up, which meant a penalty. He had to restart at the end of the longest line, so had a lot of traffic to make his way back in the top 15, now being shown in 13th spot. Vince.
Danica Patrick is running a pretty solid race today. Remember, Danica started 25th. She's up to 14th, so she's gained 11 spots. She has said that if you have a good race car on race day in Indianapolis, it shouldn't be difficult to drive. It should be comfortable. She hasn't been uncomfortable, but they've been taking front wing out to give her a little bit more grip throughout the course of this race. Rick.
Back behind Danica is Bertram Baguette, the guy from Belgium. He got caught out during that last pit stop. He was just about to come in. As a result, he had to stay out. Finally, had to come in to get a splash of fuel and then go back out around and do a full pit stop. Going into this race, he said his mantra was going to be patience. Patience. He needed to remember and understand that. He said he learned that last year during his first race. He's ready for it this year.
And now you have the top 15. We can tell you there's 23 cars on the lead lap. Those that are 1 lap down, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Anna Beatrice, Will Power, and Pippa Mann. Davey Hamilton is 28th, 4 laps down. We're going to step aside just for a moment. There's your top 5. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com.
Losing weight clicked for me when I realized that Weight Watchers Online was for guys too. I'm like, it's not rainbows and lollipops.
After I read this beer cheat sheet, I knew what the difference was between a light beer and a dark beer as far as points go.
I use the grilling cheat sheet. Drag it over onto the grill and it gives you a point value. This is a plan for men.
I lost 109 pounds.
Oh man, you're on Weight Watchers Online. That's funny. And I go, really? I look a lot better than you right now.
Hurry, join for free today. Weight Watchers Online for men. Finally, losing weight clicks.
A moment that starts off ordinary can become romantic just like that. A spark might come from a touch, a glance. It can come along anywhere, anytime. And when it does, men with erectile dysfunction can be more confident in their ability to be ready with Cialis for daily use. Cialis for daily use is a clinically proven low-dose tablet you take every day, so you can be ready anytime the moment's right, even if it's not every day.
Tell your doctor about your medical condition and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity.
Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure.
Do not drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away.
Ask your doctor if Cialis for daily use is right for you. For a 30-tablet free trial offer, go to Cialis.com.
For 125 years, Sunoco's been propelling people forward to their destinations and to their victories.
And as of 2011, we'll do the same for some of the world's greatest drivers as we become an official fuel partner of IndyCar. We'll fuel their victories the same way we've been fueling yours.
Because winning is the greatest feeling in the world.
There's a reason why. In 5 years of powering every car in the Indianapolis 500 race, not a single Honda engine has failed. It's not the parts we make them from. It's the part we put in to every Honda.
Race leader here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we're approaching the halfway mark of this anniversary edition. 100th anniversary of the Indy 500. Scott Dixon has a 2.8-second lead over teammate Dario Franchitti. Franchitti has faded here as this run has continued. And remember, tires were an issue on that last round, so maybe trying to take care of the rubber.
They're trying to take care of the rubber, but Franchitti had a different problem. He had Weldon all over him, he tried to pass him going into one, and I think Franchitti might have lost his pace because of that. But what was interesting, that Weldon fell way back also.
Franchitti and Weldon are 2 and 3 seconds behind the race leader. Behind them in 4th place is Alex Tagliani. 5th place is Townsend Bell. 6th is J.R. Hildebrand. And you can see that the field has begun to string out a bit here at the 500.
As we run, Marty, the tires will start lasting more because they're starting to put rubber on the circuit. The drivers will know that they can push it a little bit harder.
Watching all this, and we've now knocked down 98 laps, 2 to the halfway mark. We'll update you on a couple of other drivers. One in particular, Tony Kanaan is back on the move again. Remember, he got caught out in that round. The pit stops had that problem, and he's 16th. He's rallying back 7 spots. Dan Weldon's in. Jamie?
And Dan Weldon has been struggling all day to find his pit box. They're putting everything out there to get his attention. He finds it just fine. Everybody's talking about this 98 car right now, saying how strong he is. You see the change on the wing in the front, just 1 round, 4 tires, they filled it up. Now his teammate, Townsend Bell, said he needs help on the front nose. They're saying there's wind gusts going into 3 at about 20 miles per hour. You're going to see a lot of front wing changes to give them that downforce. Townsend Bell, slide adjustment as well, and he's down and away, guys.
Thank you, Jamie. Meanwhile, Dixon and Franchitti continue to motor around this speedway.
And Marty, when they're talking about the wind gust right now, the wind is for you into 1 and behind you in 3.
Alex Tagliani is in, Jamie.
And Alex has slipped back a bit. You know, he started on the pole, but he's been running a high oil temperature that this team has been keeping an eye on. He's not saying much on the radio. The car is strong.
busy in this round of pit stops as all those cars are in your section of the racetrack on pit road. Here comes his teammate Dario Franchitti as Franchitti makes his way at 60 miles an hour down to the far end of pit road. Oh, in trouble. We have contact into the wall. The 06 of the rookie, James Hinchcliffe. He has tagged the wall at the halfway mark of the 500, our fourth caution of the day. Jamie?
Yeah, sorry, boys.
And this is you hear the radio there saying, sorry, boys. Dario Franchitti's second time today. The caution has fallen when he was on pit road again. Left out, full course yellow right now. It was the 9-second stop for Dario Franchitti. Marty?
Would you guys say that his life is charmed right now?
Oh, my goodness. To have that happen once in a season is a big advantage. To have it twice and in the Indy 500, that's, I would say, very charming.
There's the Homaltro safety crew. They are helping James get out of the car. And let's go back and take a look at what happened.
He's already up in the gray, guys, and we're not sure why he got there. Maybe the car underneath him, he let the car go through, and that's on the exit of 3, so he's up on the north end in the short chute. But I can tell you he's a young rookie who did a very good job coming here with a lot of pressure on him from sponsors and a lot of following from Canada. This is something he didn't want to have happen, Eddie.
What has changed lately is the wind is now pushing the cars faster down the back straight, and they're probably picking up 3 or 4 miles an hour going into 3. But obviously he was hung out when he was past going into that corner, and we've seen that there just isn't enough grip once you get out of the line.
Yeah, you heard Jamie talk about the wind change, and let's listen and watch. Ouch.
That's almost a photocopy of what we saw before.
Rick, what are you hearing?
Remember, I said he'd gotten in that situation where he was like the meat in the sandwich. He got banged. They'd been chasing that, and they were talking about being the right front the whole time. After he hit the wall, he came on the radio and said, guys, I'm really, really, really sorry.
So he's on his way to the medical center for the mandatory checkup. Field under caution now for the 4th time here today. We've run 20 laps of the 101 so far under the yellow. And now we have a total of 14 cars on the lead lap. Some of that could change, however, based on this next round of pit stops. Remember, some of the cars got in early, as we talked about with Dario Franchitti, were able to do their service. Wait to see how it all shakes out. Right now, your race leader, our 5th different leader, is shown as rookie J.R. Hildebrand. See the cleanup going on. Right near the middle of turn 4. Danica Patrick making her way down on pit road. Vince?
Danica Patrick getting the fuel there. You see, they've really been dealing with the issue of just getting her more grip. That's been the #1 complaint for Danica.
Well, and this is the second time that she had to come in, get enough fuel to keep from running out.
She was only there for 5 seconds.
Well, she can only take enough to get back around. If she takes more than that, then she would be penalized and have to go to the back.
And she's coming right back in again when they allow her.
That's right. So you can see that Danica coming back out. We mentioned Alex Tagliani on his pit stop. Let's go back and take a look and see what happened.
Yeah, I suspect that they're trying to pound down the rear wheel flap, maybe to try to take some downforce of it, or maybe it got hit and something bent up there, Eddie. I'm not quite clear.
No, we heard earlier that they had a high oil temperature. I wonder if there's something that they're trying to do to create an exit, maybe to allow the air to go through. But I don't know how that would affect it, but there was definitely something they weren't being too gentle about. It didn't look like Foyt with a hammer in his hand, but he was trying to remove something that didn't want to be removed.
But we'll try and get an update from pit road on that situation with Alex Tagliani. You saw the one crewman almost go for a ride as he was hanging on for dear life at the back of the car when they let it down off the jet.
Let's talk about those restarts for a second. All the accidents that we've seen, Scott, have been cars that have been pushed a little bit too high, haven't they, when they've been passed? So what we've seen on the restarts is that all the cars bundle up. Now let's start working towards that last restart that will happen.
Well, hold on to that thought, guys, because we've got, as you can see from high above, several cars coming down pit road as they're going to be making their starts, including our race leader, J.R. Hildebrand. There he is. He's the 200th different leader in the history of the Indianapolis 500. Doc, it's all yours.
Ryan Briscoe is still complaining of an understeer, primarily in turn 1 and in traffic. I have to turn up both front wings. Rip.
Bertrand Baguette comes in. This time he didn't get caught out with the fuel. More importantly, J.R. Hildebrand, not just the leader of the race, the rookie leader of the race. In his first race ever at the Indy 500, he can say he's led a lap. Now let's see what he can do the rest of the way.
And he holds station of those that did come in for pit stops, and he comes out ahead of Briscoe, and Baguette, Mira, Kimball, and Danica Patrick. We're going to step aside for just a minute here. We're under caution, our fourth, after this message from our ABC station.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Expedia. The best travel tools are all in one place. Where you book matters. Expedia.
Well, this began 100 years ago. Ray Haroon, driving the Marmon Wasp, won the initial Indianapolis 500. And a little note for you trivia buffs. He started as far back as number 28. No one in history has started further back than that 32 car right there. And guess who we're joined by here? His 96-year-old son, Dick Haroon. Dick, it is such a pleasure to have you with us. As you look back when you were a youngster, did your father talk about winning the first Indianapolis race? I believe it was known as the sweepstakes back then.
Well, yes, Dad talked quite a bit about it, as a matter of fact. He went into great detail about how he built the car that he won the race with, and that was a kind of a story in itself. He raced other cars and the rest of the season, and he won 44 races in 19
back during the last century, as a matter of fact.
1910.
Right, the year before he won, because he retired after he won the Indy. But now here's a question for you, Dick, because there's a lot of those conspiracy theorists who say, oh, wait a minute, Ray didn't complete the 500 miles. Now, what did he tell you about the controversy? Because it took him a couple of days before they crowned your father champion.
Well, I don't know exactly what Dad had many opinions on that, but that's something he never talked to me about. And I don't understand that, but I've, of course, read books and stories and articles from different authors, and I don't really believe that he didn't win it. I think he did the job right.
Absolutely.
And won the race.
Absolutely. Dick, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your time. Marty, it is unbelievable. We have the son of the original winner here with us today.
And you know what, Brent? It's his dad's face is on the Borg Warner trophy. It doesn't matter what anybody else says.
You got that right.
Thank you, Dick. That is just amazing. All right, let's get ready for the restart. We had 4 waiver rounds. Rahal, Kanan, Schechter, Rice. That gives us a total of 18 cars on the lead lap. Castro Neves and Will Power are a lap down for Team Penske. Up front, it's Franchitti, Servia, Andretti, Carpenter. They were the ones that pitted before the yellow came out. Here they come through. 4 fans on their feet, and we're going back to green flag racing. Whoa, they're going to try 4 wide. Oh, that attenuator was so close. Does everybody make it through? Hang on. Coming down the backstretch, it's Franchitti. I gotta catch my breath after that. I'm sorry, that was close. Especially that one coming down the front stretch towards the attenuator. It is Franchitti right there as we go on board with Marco Andretti. Andretti right now in 4th position.
Car in front of him right now, Oriol Servia with the Newman Haas team. He wants to get past him. The car in front of Oriol Servia, the number 3 machine of Elio Castroneves is a lap down. His goal right now, Eddie, is to get going a little quicker and get past Dario Franchitti, who's in front of him, so he can get himself back in the lead lap.
It's going to be a miracle for him to get a lap back. The car just does not seem fast enough today. They've got to be very careful. You saw them driving through all that paper. If any of that paper gets on one of your radiators, the temperatures start to climb. And these things are always run as efficient as possible, so they don't have extra cooling just hanging around.
You mentioned the temperature. It's about 85 degrees right now outside. And there's Marco Andretti. Let's get an update from Vince.
Well, it's certainly been a struggle for Marco Andretti here at Indianapolis. He barely made it into the field of 33, but he said, hey, if you're in, you can win. And it hasn't taken him long to get up toward the front. Now running in the top 5. Certainly a beneficiary of the timing of that last yellow. He was already on pit road. He said to his father, Michael, on the radio, I think we got lucky on that one. We'll see if his luck holds, Marty.
He started 27th. Right now he is shown running in the 3rd position. Marco Andretti, could he win? For the second time for the Andretti family. It was 1969 when Grandpa Mario turned the trick.
The car that's second on the track we mentioned a moment ago with Elio Castroneves and the Shell Pennzoil machine trying to time it right. Will he get it done this time? He does. He gets his lap back.
So he is now at the tail end of the lead lap, and boy, would he like to see a yellow right now.
He's one of those drivers that are hoping for the yellow as long as it's not him.
And he's actually pulling away a little bit. Because remember, we mentioned the fact that he was a lap down. Will Power is still a lap down in 23rd position. You're wondering where Ryan Briscoe is? He is running in the 9th spot. Franchitti leads this race. Scott Dixon for Target Ganassi Racing is in 5th. So it's been the red car's day so far.
But that was a very strong statement from Elio Castroneves. To go after the leader, pass him, and try to get the lap back. That's something that just will not give up.
Vince, what are you hearing from the number 3 car?
One of the issues with Elio Castroneves throughout the earlier stages of this race has been tire wear. They've been changing the balance of the car to try to handle it. Ryan Briscoe has had a similar problem. They fed off the information from Briscoe to make those adjustments to Elio's car. They feel like they've got a much better handle on it now, and that's why you're seeing the power from Elio Castroneves.
He's out in front of the field, albeit at the tail end of the lead lap in 19th position, but he is maintaining that spot. And that's exactly what he needs to do until the next yellow comes out.
And the first 3 are pulling away from Marco Andretti.
What's happening right now for Franchitti, he doesn't have the clear run that he did before when he was leading, so maybe his car's not going to work as efficiently through the turns. And what ends up happening with that, you're going to have Oriol Servia, the number 2 machine, the blue car on your screen right there, starting to work to get a little closer.
And something about Oriol Servia, guys, he has yet to use his push to pass. He's
going for a pass right now.
And here he goes, side by side with the 10 car of Dario Franchitti.
Oh, and Franchitti was so high to the wall to get a nice run to get through 3. But that push to pass gives the drivers a few hundred extra RPM, a little bit more horsepower. Lasts for time enough for them to get past the car that's in front.
So the man from Pals, Catalunya, Spain is out in front for Newman Haas Racing. They've never won the 500. They've sat on the pole. They finished 2nd. Could they win today?
Look at all this stuff for coffee.
Oh, there's tons. French presses, espresso tampers, filters. It can get really complicated. Not nearly as complicated as shipping it, though. I mean, shipping is a hassle.
Not with Priority Mail flat rate boxes from the Postal Service. If it fits, it ships anywhere in the country for a low flat rate.
That is easy. Best news I've heard all day. I'm so amped. I mean, not amped, excited. I mean, that's sort of amped. Really kind of in between.
Have you ever thought about decaf?
You think that'll help?
Yeah.
Priority Mail flat rate shipping starts at just $4.95, only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship.
100 years of racing. To appreciate what that means, you need to start back in 1911, the inaugural Indianapolis 500-mile race. Ray Haroon won that year, and as he crossed the finish line that day on his Firestone tires, he surely had no idea what he was starting. A legacy of guts, grit, and determination on big tracks and small, famous tracks, and those not so famous. We raced, and we raced to win. Anywhere, any place, anytime. And over the years, as the cars got faster and the crowds grew bigger, a century passed. A century of building on the things we learned, of helping great men and women do great things. And still, it goes on. Because you see, just like old Ray would tell you, or Mario, or Al, Sam, or Elio, once you get that checkered flag fever, you can't shake it. You can only feed it. So what does it all mean? Looking back, it's pretty clear. Even after a century, there really is no finish line. Firestone, celebrating 100 years of racing.
You're on the same plane.
We'll be on the same plane regardless.
Yeah, what we should work. Anything together? Do we know?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
Each of the three drivers from the front row has taken the lead here today at the Indy 500. Oriol Sorvia from Spain is the third, and he is now our leader. But meanwhile, Danica Patrick is on the move. Vince Walsh, what's the latest?
Well, it's amazing, Brent. She's currently running 10th, but twice in this race she has been victimized by the ill-timed yellow flags just prior to her pit stops.
She is somebody, of course.
Man, it's the Indy 500. If we can stretch that fuel for one more lap to pit, makes a huge difference. Huge. This front race need to work hard. Then 30 cars in front of me.
Well, there's not 30 cars in front of her right now, guys. She's running 10th. George Klotzer, strategist, just told me a moment ago, I think we can make it on 2 more stops, but it's going to be close. It could come down to the wire for Danica.
All right, Vince, we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, our pole sitter, Tagliani, has slipped away. Remember, he was one of our early leaders. He is now down to 13th, trailing the leader by 13 seconds, Jamie.
He's been saying he's running hot, high oil temperatures. On the last pit stop, the guys in the booth were asking what exactly was happening. They removed this right side inlet blocker. Basically, it restricts airflow. You take it off, the air comes in, cools the engine down, but at the same time, it costs you speed, and that's exactly what's happening. He's dropped down to 12. Brent?
This indeed is the Olympics of automobile racing as you take a look at those who have led here today. From New Zealand, from Scotland, now from Spain. What's missing? Well, we've even had Hildebrand slip into the lead, our first rookie here today. We'll be right back.
Danica, it's time for a new GoDaddy ad, and I'm thinking bikini bull riding. Naughty nurse?
Didn't I fire you after the last ad?
A little bit, but this one's about GoDaddy's great prices on domains, hosting, websites.
Actually tell people what GoDaddy does? I like it.
And you're gonna love the outfit.
I can't believe I'm gonna do this.
I know. See what happens next at GoDaddy.com.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
People everywhere are taking a stand and booking on choicehotels.com.
Booking a room online should be easy as pie.
As long as I save 20%.
When I save 20% on my hotel, I do my happy dance.
I have the right to a guarantee that my rate is the lowest on the web. Do I ask for too much?
Nope. It's your voice, it's your choicehotels.com. Get the best internet rate guaranteed on over 6,000 hotels and save up to 20% every day. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
I need new struts for my 2000 Toyota.
Let me see struts by AC Delco, Monroe, and any under $50.
We might be able to get some struts from the warehouse.
Why watch the counterman tap on his computer and hope he chooses the right part? Go to rockauto.com. Auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. Choose the brands, prices, and features you want. Auto parts at the lowest price. Conveniently delivered to your home or business. Log on to rockauto.com. All the parts your car will ever need.
ABC Tuesday, June 21st.
Has anybody ever told you about your eyes? They're amazing.
You know, you can do the doctors, and they can do you too, for all I care. But you leave my nurses alone.
This is Dr. Gordon. She's the one who saved your life.
If you want to thank somebody,
thank her.
I'm a neurosurgeon. We don't do ordinary.
You were right. Nothing prepared me for this place.
What can I say? Welcome to Kandahar.
ABC's Combat Hospital. Series premiere Tuesday, June 21st on ABC.
Our Helicamp coverage is brought to you by GoDaddy.com, the view from high above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we are now 76 laps to go in the 100th anniversary edition of the greatest spectacle in racing. Oriol Servia is our race leader by a full second, and you can see from that shot he has put Elio Castroneves back one lap down. He's running in 19th. He's the second car in line. Third car in line is second place, Dario Franchitti, but we've noticed during the break he's been struggling with his car, actually having to downshift. But let's check in on a guy that we talked about at the beginning of the race. Back in 11th position, Charlie Kimball. He is the man that is racing with diabetes.
I don't expect my diabetes to affect my race at all. The length of the race makes it more challenging, but I have the utmost confidence in not only my healthcare team, my doctors, my nutritionists, but also in my pit crew. You know, they've given me the tools I need in the race car to not only monitor, but manage my diabetes actively. Hopefully I won't have to, but they're there as backup plans, and if I need them, I've got them.
He is 10.9 seconds behind the race leader right now. Let's get an update, Doc. What are you hearing from down in the pit lane?
Marty, he began the day with a blood sugar of 200, which is exactly where he wanted to be. About lap 40, it went to 225. Just past the halfway point, it's at 250 and flat. Now, they don't want it to get to 300 or above. If it starts going up, here's what's going to happen. Jerry Bouchard here, who's the left front tire changer, will come in during a pit stop. He will change the left front tire. Then he will take this flex pin, which is a syringe. He will dial in how much insulin the doctor tells him to put in. He will pull that off, reach up, and stab Charlie in the left thigh through the fire suit and inject the insulin if need be. Now, how did he learn to do that? Well, he got a 1-hour tutorial in a hotel room this week practicing injecting an orange. He said, that's the only practice I've got, and I hope I do okay when they need me during the race. Right now, though, 250 and flat.
You should have seen Eddie cringe when you were doing that demonstration, Doc. He can't imagine what that is like. Look at this action going on down the front straightaway. The 82 of Tony Kanaan and Will Power. Remember, Power is a lap down. He's running in 21st position. Kanaan is 12th, 13 seconds behind the race lead. Two of the three Penske cars, one lap down. If I'd have told you that, would you believe it? I don't think anybody would. Oriol Servia, the first time anyone from Spain has ever led the Indianapolis 500. We're going to go side by side. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Dario Franchitti. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com.
Generation 201 horsepower Civic Si. To each their own, only from Honda.
I'm so psyched we found these seats.
Scoring your dream tickets is no longer a fantasy, even on the day of the event, even if it's sold out. StubHub, where do you want to sit?
In IndyCar racing, it's all about speed, and the action happens in the blink of an eye. So you need something that helps you keep up, like IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. It lets you keep pace with in-race audio, up to the second leaderboards, highlights, and even driver tweets. Download it now! Before the season passes you by!
I'm in a timeout because apparently riding the dog like it's a small horse is frowned upon in this establishment. Luckily, though, I conceal this bad boy underneath my blanket just so I can get on E-Trade, check my investment portfolio, research stocks. Wait, why you take... Oh, I see. Solitary. Just a man and his thoughts and a smartphone with an E-Trade app. Nobody knows.
E-Trade. Investing unleashed.
You won't always see the signs when your wiper blades don't perform. But with new Michelin Stealth Hybrid blade design, you can steer clear for the road ahead. Michelin Stealth combined conventional frame design for unbeatable windshield contact with clog-free beam blade design for performance in ice and snow, helping you steer clear no matter what nature throws your way next. Michelin Stealth wiper blades, a better way forward.
The great thing about side-by-side, you never missed that lead change on 14th as Dario Franchitti is now back in front of Oriol Serbia with Scott Dixon 3.3 seconds. In case you did step away to the refrigerator, let's show you one more time.
This is a perfect pass. He had been studying for about 10 laps, goes by them. But what's interesting is all of a sudden the car behind Serbia lost almost 4 miles an hour on that lap. For some reason, Franchitti's car was not working as well behind Serbia's as it was behind Dixon, Scott.
And all through that run, we were listening to Franchitti, and he was off the throttle all the time, and then he must have made some changes inside the car with the weight jacker and also the roll bar adjustments because the car is now starting to come around. We also mentioned that cars change over a fuel load. Maybe his is better at the end.
While we got a moment, remember we asked you at the beginning of the broadcast which of the following drivers would finish in the highest position in the Indianapolis 500 in our Sports Nation poll. We'll reveal the answer for you now. 38% think Marco Andretti, 29% for Danica, 12% for Alex Tagliani, and Tony Kanaan, 20%. Marco Andretti running 4th right now. Oh, you can, but the poll's already closed. Let's go back up front because Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon, they have been dominating today as there goes a pass around Alex Tagliani. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
And Chip Ganassi, the owner of the 9 and the 10, running 1 and 3 right now. He's been to victory lane here 3 times. Chip, what is your assessment on how you guys are running right now?
Jamie, there's a lot of fast cars out there right now. I mean, you can see nobody's pulling a big gap or, putting any room between them and anybody else, so it's anybody's race.
Right now, Scott Dixon running just fine. Dario Franchitti saying he's struggling on straight line speed just a little bit. Marty?
Well, but the guy who's really struggling is the guy that we saw getting past there. That was Alex Tagliani, our pole sitter, as he is going to go a lap down. He is 17th right now, so his car has gone away because of that change that Jamie talked about.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to remember that these cars are very finely tuned aerodynamic devices. You can't be banging away on the back of something and expecting it to be as fluid as they are when they're intact. He obviously has a problem, and they're just trying to get all the speed they can out of it.
So there is Dan Weldon as he has peeled off. Jamie?
Dan Weldon's car pretty good. He was actually getting frustrated that last stint there with his own teammate Townsend Bell. He's saying, guys, this is the 500. I'm not going to give it up. You see him make a turn of front wing. 4 tires. It sounded like he stalled it, guys. That cost him a couple seconds. Dan Weldon down and away.
Man on the run right now is Kanaan. He came back from that pit stop he had that was almost out of sequence in that yellow, and he just did a 2:21, which makes him the fastest car on the track right now.
And just to put a period on Alex Tagliani's story, his last lap, folks, 216 miles an hour. That's why he's falling back. Jamie?
And Oriol Serbia right there in his pit box after practice on Friday, guys. He had a slight oil leak. They didn't get to run many laps. He's blocked there. That was a good stop. They're getting the job done on pit road. 8.9 seconds to change 4 tires.
Dario Franchitti now making his way way down to pit road. There you saw the 2 cones. That signals where you have to be 60 miles an hour, and it's a long way down that front straight.
Get them all done, guys. Nice and smooth.
Heard the call. A lot of changes coming. Jamie?
And you heard him right there. Chip Ganassi is the strategist on the box as he makes the drive all the way down pit road. Pulls into his box. You heard him say they're going to make some changes to keep up as the temperature continues to climb. The wind continues to gust on the backstretch. They're going to make a front wing adjustment. Let's go to Doc.
4 tires for Tony Kanaan, and what an effort TK has put in today from 26th to 6th at the beginning of the race. The blocking off pit road back to 24th. He lost a lap and now being shown into the top 5. One more stop before the check-in for TK.
Yeah, I think he's passed more cars than anybody else on the track. Unfortunately, he's had to do it twice because of what you described, Doc, that problem on pit road. The red car back out for the number 10 of Dario Franchitti as he rejoins the race. We have 62 laps to go. And again, the race leader right now is J.R. Hildebrand, the rookie. And there he is as we're on board. He still has to make his stop.
When you talk to JR, he's very methodical. His mind acts like an engineer.
Vince?
Danica Patrick, they've made front wing adjustments, stagger adjustments, just trying to get her car strong and balanced for the stretch run.
She had worked her way into the top 10. This time, the yellow does not catch her out. Find out where she shakes out when she rejoins the field. And here comes J.R. Hildebrand, the rookie for Panther Racing. Rick, let's send it your way.
Well, what a great race so far for J.R. Hildebrand. You can't say he's led under green flag conditions too much with the exception of that last lap as everybody's doing pit stop. Now he comes in. They've been very happy with the way it was running. Early on, it was loose at the top end of the fuel stint. As it would go, it would get better. They've been telling him that he's been running with the leaders and to stay with it. Doc?
Charlie Kimball making a pit stop, a flawless stop, 4 tires. He said the car is stable. His blood sugar is stable, not rising, still 250 and flat. Just trying to get 200 laps in the day and get some experience and make history as a diabetic.
What a great story, and Charlie Kimball doing a great job right now as we have 61 laps remaining. We're working lap 140. There is John Andretti. He has been solid all day long on the lead lap. Bertrand Baguette, you also saw Will Power. Baguette making his stop. Rick?
Boy, what a race for Bertrand Baguette. Remember, he ran his first race last year. He's been doing patience, doing very well. You see him going away. Meanwhile, just up the way, you've got Will Power, who's had problems with his brakes, but seems to have solved that problem. Now his job is to motor around and try to get the best finish he possibly can. Remember, he's leading the points coming into this race.
And every driver out there will tell you today's not about points. Today is about the Indianapolis 500. They want the milk. They want the trophy. And right now, Dario Franchitti is back out in front. Let's go back and we'll show you where Scott Dixon lost some time on pit road.
If you can get it.
So a little slow on the wing adjustment. He gets back out. He is third place, 6.6 seconds behind his teammate. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com.
At the Indy 500, drivers put complete trust in their cars. But when you're out on the road trying to make it to work, are you sure you can trust your motor oil?
Put your trust in Peak Performance Motor Oil. Formulated to protect against thermal breakdown, Peak is the only motor oil tough enough to be the official oil of the Indianapolis 500.
Whether you cover 500 miles in a few hours or it takes hours to get to work, you can count on Peak. When you peak, you win.
What? Tommy fell down a well? Tommy's stuck in a cave. Where'd he get a balloon? How'd you get trapped in the belly of a whale?
Introducing the new Chevy Silverado HD.
I didn't even know this town had a volcano.
Motor Trend's 2011 Truck of the Year.
Klondike presents 5 Seconds to Glory. Mark is listening to his wife.
I was over at Jim and Nancy's today. Do you remember them? We had dinner with them a couple weeks ago over at Jill's house.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
It's hard for me to say I'm sorry.
Introducing the new Samsung Smart TV. Stream music and movies, connect with friends, and everything else you love. That's the wonder of Samsung.
Miami survived all the hype, all the bumps in the road for a shot at the title. Now they face a playoff-tested Mavs squad looking for redemption. The NBA Finals, Game 1, Tuesday on ABC.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Brought to you by Weight Watchers Online for Men. Finally, losing weight clicks. And Priority Mail flat rate boxes. Only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship.
What a great crowd today for the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. You're looking at race leader Dario Franchitti, and a couple laps ago, if you were watching on side-by-side, he came oh so close to the wall. Take another look.
Tells you how hard you're driving, even when you're leading right up to the wall. Can you get paper in between the wall and the wheel, Eddie? I'm not too sure that you can.
Let's ride on board with him. This could get interesting.
That's called getting cozy to the wall, making a nice large arc, getting down to the inside of the turn. You do that because your car may have a little bit of understeer, but very impressive. He is driving as hard as he can, using up every inch of the road.
What is bad news for everybody else at the race is he's leading doing that, and if he tunes that out, he's going to go quicker still, and he's done laps by himself.
Trouble! Crash! It's the 77 of Alex Tagliani, and the dream of Sam Schmidt Motorsports is over. The problem that they had cooling the oil has now led to this, as he becomes our sixth caution.
Get down. If you can, pull it down.
Heartbreak for Tags and for that man right there, Sam Schmidt.
Eddie, we've all had that sort of thing happen to us, whether it's here at Indianapolis or other races, and there's just no worse feeling.
That's true, but they can go home with their head held high. They came here with a new team, got the pole, and ran very strong. I think they have a lot of good things to build on for the future of Sam's team.
Slowly making his way down the backstretch now, and there he is on the outside of J.R. Hildebrand.
This is just not the place to be today. I was talking before about the restarts because I think at the end, the one place you do not want to be turning into turn 1 and 2 will be the high side. And everybody's going to get very aggressive. And I have not seen one car make it around the high side today.
And that's been the issues, and that's why all the drivers were not in favor of the double file restarts. And as the marbles start to get onto the track, that's going to become more of an issue. Let the car get too high going through the turn.
You see the disappointment on Sam Schmidt's face. The dream, it was great until just that moment.
Well, Sam still has another car in the field with Townsend Bell, and also an association with Dan Weldon with Brian Hurta's team, so he still has a couple of other opportunities to have his name associated with a possible winner.
Weldon in the 4th position. Townsend Bell currently running in 7th. Alex makes it back to the pit.
race. Yellow is going to pack up everybody, and we're going to see what Kanaan has for the front group.
And we've got 52 laps to go. We talked about it in the pre-race that these double file restarts were going to get a little more, shall we say, aggressive as the deeper we got into this race.
I really think it will, because as you get closer to the end, that you're not so concerned about what happens to the car that's beside you. And if you put them up into the marbles, well, you're just going to have to say sorry. And you know, drivers, Eddie, I think they're going to really turn around and try and be kind and polite. They've now got the system down. They understand it. But when it comes down to winning a race, and especially the Indianapolis 500, it's going to be every man and woman for himself.
It's always been that way. And what you're seeing is really a very high-speed game of chicken or chess, or both of them mixed together, because you cannot put yourself up high turning into turn one. And the car that's going to be the inside will know that, so they'll just keep on edging you up the track.
And the other thing to take into account also is, do you want to be leading with this new double file restart if it's only a 5-lap run to the end? I'm not sure that's the place you want to be.
It looks to me like the best place to be, if your car is set up right to run in traffic, is third.
Well, you see Alex has climbed out of the car. Let me correct myself. It is the 5th caution. We've run a total of 27 laps under the yellow so far today. You see the sweep vehicles out as they'll try and clean up both corners. And they said that in the driver's meeting to help with that double file restart situation. First car down a lap is Elio Castroneves, and it looks like he may be coming into the road, as are a number of other cars. Let's send it down to Vince Welch as there's Marco.
Marco Andretti and Elio Castroneves. There's Castroneves, you see there, and Marco Andretti. Now they have debated about whether or not to make a front wing adjustment. Marco wanted it, but they didn't feel like they were going to have time to do it. Jamie.
And Sam Schmidt in the 99 box at Townsend Bell. Tom Anderson, the strategist, said, guys, this is an important stop. We have one car out of this race. This is our next shot. It's clean.
You see a number of stops being completed down on pit lane as they come back on. There's Alex as he is talking it over with his team. With 50 laps remaining here at the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. We'll go side by side.
Well, ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN tonight and Tuesday night. First, catch Sunday night baseball, 8 Eastern. Joey Votto and the Cincinnati Reds head to Atlanta to take on Chipper Jones and the Braves. Then on Tuesday, the San Francisco Giants are in St. Louis for a series against Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday, and the Cardinals. Major League Baseball on ESPN Sunday and Tuesday. And right now, Chip Ganassi must feel like he's managing the Philadelphia Phillies pitching staff. He has been dominant here today. Franchitti now has the lead. He has led for 40 laps. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon, the other leader in the Ganassi stable, has led for 66 laps. So that's 106 laps they have led. And the other blue blood of this series was won 15 times. Roger Penske has struggled. Will Power completed a lap without a left rear tire. Elio Castroneves has not been able to get into the mix at the lead. However, do not overlook Ryan Briscoe. He is now sitting in 12th place, about 10.5 seconds back of that lead. As for Danica Patrick, well, she has risen from the depths, and now she is sitting solidly in 7th place. Now, remember, this is a driver over the last decade has been able to crash that top 10. She hasn't been able to make the winner's circle yet, but you can count on Danica to be a contender before the day is over. As for Alex Tagliani, one of our lead stories of the day, Jamie Little is with the pole sitter.
It sure was. He and Sam Schmidt get together. They form this team. You guys sit on the pole, but you had problems today, Alex. Your right front was worn severely on that last stop. Did that have anything to do with getting into the wall?
Well, we all of a sudden we kind of lost the rear of the car. The car became very, very neutral, and so I had to change all the tools I had with me in the car, like the weight jacker, the shocks, everything, and you know, try to protect that rear. And I think we were riding that front really hard, but I think that flat spot was coming into the pits. I locked the tires, so and then pretty much the whole rest of the time, I mean, I was really, really loose. I really couldn't turn the wheel. The car was on the edge, and a couple of bad moments. And the last one, I think Buddy was trying to go on the inside. I touched the gray a bit, and then they pushed me off into the wall.
All right, Alex Tagliani's day is finished. He will sit back and watch his teammates, Townsend Bell and Dan Weldon, go for the win. Marty?
Thank you, Jamie. Let's check in on our Firestone lap leaders today. We've had a total of 7 different leaders. Scott Dixon leads the way with 66. Frank Keaty, 41. Tags led for 20. You see the rest on down through the line. We've had 5 cautions for 31 laps now. Danica Patrick is the second biggest mover since the start of the race, picking up 18 spots. Vince, what are you hearing?
Well, the one issue for Danica has just been the timing of the pit stops in regards to the falling yellow flags, and that's set her pit stop strategy and fuel strategy off a bit.
Well, it looks like everybody's going to have to come in one more time. Yep, that's true. Everybody has to come in one more time, but you're just going to have to come in about, I'd say, 10 laps earlier than the rest so they can catch yellow. But, oh well, that's just the way it is. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I just wanted to get you up on track position. Yeah, well, it's nice to be up in cleaner air. I mean, I was able to run nice and flat. The car was flying around.
Danica Patrick currently in the top 10. There's a car in front of her there to her left in the blue cars. John Andretti, it's her teammate, a couple of laps down. He's going to work with her to let her go by.
Let's get ready to go back to green flag racing. Remember, we talked about the fact that these side-by-side starts and restarts are going to get trickier as we progress. You heard the call. We're racing again in Indianapolis.
Dixon got hung out because the car in front of him was slow. He's now back in the mix and trying to defend.
And there goes Frank Keaty.
Dario gets a huge jump. Oriol Servia looked like the car that was slow to get off the ball, and it has cost everybody but Dario. Look at that, 3 wide through the corner. Down on the apron, this isn't going to work. Somebody's going to have to back up and take the warm-up lane.
I have never, ever seen that being done.
Was that the 98 of Dan Weldon? I could not quite see the number, but it sure did look like his painting. There he is. No, he's back a little bit further there, so he has dropped back a few spots.
So these cars have been 2 abreast for the whole first lap after this restart.
And weaving in and out, and a guy on the outside we've seen the last couple of turns is Townsend Bell, and he's just going, pardon me, excuse me, and getting through.
And Graham Rahal, folks, is really taking advantage. There he is in the red, white, and blue 38. Move him up into the 4th position.
P3. No pressure from behind. You're +3 to Dixon.
And look who was just behind him coming to your screen, Tony Kanaan. Should be no surprise. He never gives up. He's a fighter, and I don't think you can count this guy out.
Let's reset the top 5. It's Frank Keaty, Servia, Dixon, Rahal, Tony Kanaan. Dan Weldon is back in 6th.
A Tony Kanaan in a fast car Indy, when he has confidence, is not a good thing to have in your rearview mirrors.
Well, you saw Dixon take a peek on the inside of that 38 of Graham Rahal. Could not get it done, and in fact, it broke his momentum. We've got yellow flag on the racetrack and a 2-car crash. It is the 99 of Townsend Bell and the 6 of Ryan Briscoe. He was the top running Penske car in 11th position. Bell was running in 10th. And now our 6th caution.
And we had just seen Townsend Bell in the 99 be very aggressive on that restart.
Oh, that was a real pity. Townsend Bell was having a great race.
Wheel is off. Ryan Briscoe. He had that crash in practice the morning of pole day, and from that moment on, this team seemed to be playing catch-up. And it looked like here, at late stages of the race, they were starting to sort it out until this happened.
And in teams like that, when one thing goes wrong, it could almost have a...
Elio Castroneves has a problem. What happened here? Castroneves has been down a lap for the last 50-plus laps. He's shown in 21st position, and he is making his way down pit road.
What a horrible race for Penske.
So he'll get a new tire, but Will Power is 1 lap down. He is shown in 16th position. Elio back out.
So the point, Eddie, how often do you see that with Penske?
I have never. I mean, I was there when they... Here, let's watch what happens.
Now on the outside, Townsend Bell driving down towards the center of the turn, towards the apex, really trying to drive it down there just a bit too much, and ends up getting locked in with the 6th car of Ryan Briscoe, and Ryan Briscoe really was just unfortunately taken out in that scenario.
What Townsend Bell did not want to do, and he reacted maybe a little bit too severely, he didn't want to be too up high because he knew there was no grip, and he just charged down the bottom, and there's nowhere. There was nowhere for Briscoe to go.
For a moment, they almost saved it.
Almost doesn't work around here.
I really thought they were going to go forward. Unfortunately, with Townsend Bell going out, that is another Sam Schmidt car, the Herbalife machine of Townsend Bell.
And there is Townsend as he climbs from the cockpit of the car.
Did you see, Scott, how hesitant he was of trying to stay up high, how he came down really aggressively?
Vince, Danica's in.
Danica Patrick, you heard the radio from her just a few moments ago. They needed to make another stop. Their car is getting better and better. No chassis adjustments at all for Danica. Rick.
Will Power brings the car in. Remember, he's part of that Penske crew that's been having such a hard time today. He had his problems early, but he's so far down it's going to be very difficult to do anything in terms of place.
All right, Rick, thank you. As they come back out, there is what's left of the 2 cars. Townsend Bell, his best finish was a 4th back in 2003. Now we wanted to find out what happened to Helio Castroneves. Give you an idea right here. There it is. I mean, again, there it looks like he ran over something, cutting the tire. So we're going to step aside for just a moment. We've got 41 laps to go. We'll talk about how this changes fuel strategy after this message from our ABC stations.
The 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between. Mother's Polish. There's no shine like Mother's. And IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD IndyCar Series.